"I've had enough, Nathan. I want a divorce." The words tumbled from my mouth, heavy with a mixture of fear and resolution. Nathan, my husband of 6 years, stared at me, his face a blend of disbelief and anger. "What are you talking about, Eliza? This is ridiculous," he exclaimed, his voice rising in frustration. I took a step back, feeling the weight of years of unspoken grievances pressing down on me. "This isn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. I've thought this through," I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. Nathan scoffed and crossed his arms. "You'll change your mind. You always do." But this time was different. I wouldn't change my mind. The endless cycle of neglect, his dismissive attitude towards my career as an interior designer, and the stifling loneliness that had crept into our marriage were suffocating me. It was time for a change. I had a business trip scheduled that day, a brief escape to another state for a project that demanded my expertise. Time was not on my side, and Nathan's unwillingness to have a constructive conversation only cemented my decision. I grabbed my suitcase, giving him one last look, a mix of sorrow and determination in my eyes. "I really mean it, Nathan. I'm done." His response was a cold, harsh laugh as he turned away, dismissing my words and me along with them. I left the house, the sound of the slamming door echoing my tumultuous emotions. The business trip was a blur. Meetings, presentations, and polite conversations with clients filled my days, but my mind was elsewhere, replaying the scene with Nathan over and over. I felt a strange blend of liberation and fear. Was I ready for the unknown that lay ahead? Returning home the next day, the house was silent, almost reflective of the void in my heart. "I'm back," I called out, but there was no response. On the dining table lay a business card, a divorce lawyer's. Nathan had made his move, quicker than I had anticipated. I picked up the card, my fingers tracing the embossed letters. Nathan's quick decision surprised me, but in a way, it was a relief. Maybe he too realized that our marriage was beyond repair. Maybe this was for the best. Resolute, I dialed the number on the card. It was time to close this chapter of my life and begin anew. As I waited for the call to connect, a sense of empowerment washed over me. This was not the end of my story, but the beginning of a new one. My story, on my terms. As I sat in my home office, the echoes of my conversation with the divorce lawyer still lingered in my mind. The room, once a sanctuary where I sketched and imagined beautiful spaces, now felt like a capsule of my failed marriage. I let my gaze drift across the room, landing on the framed photos of Nathan and me. Our smiles in those pictures seemed to belong to strangers. It's hard to believe that just 6 years ago, Nathan and I were the quintessential happy couple. We met at a mutual friend's art exhibit. He was charming, with a quick wit that matched my own. Our shared love for art and design drew us together. We would spend hours discussing the latest trends in interior design, often debating over styles and aesthetics. When Nathan proposed, it felt like a fairy tale. We dreamt of building a life together, filled with love, shared ambitions, and eventually a family. However, reality painted a starkly different picture. Nathan's true colors began to show soon after our wedding. Initially, his comments were subtle, a jest about my job as an interior designer being just a hobby, or a passing remark about how a wife should prioritize home over career. But gradually his words grew sharper, his attitude more dismissive. The change in our relationship wasn't just emotional, but also practical. We had agreed to share household responsibilities, but soon all the tasks fell on my shoulders. Nathan would come home from his job at the architectural firm and immediately retreat to his study, leaving me to juggle my work deadlines and household chores alone. I tried to talk to him, to remind him of the partnership we had promised each other. But each conversation ended in an argument, with Nathan declaring that housework wasn't his job. As I reflected on these moments, a sense of clarity began to dawn on me. I had been living in a facade, a marriage that looked perfect from the outside but was crumbling within. I wasn't just fighting for a divorce. I was fighting for my self-respect. It was then that I made a promise to myself. No longer would I be the Eliza who nodded and smiled, suppressing her own needs and desires. It was time to rebuild, not just my life, but also my identity. An identity not defined by Nathan or our failed marriage, but by my own strengths and passions. As I stood up from my desk, a newfound determination filled me. The road ahead would be challenging, but I was ready to face it head on. I was ready to rediscover the Eliza who dreamed of creating beauty in the world, one space at a time. The days following my decision to divorce Nathan were a whirlwind of emotions and legal consultations. But amidst this chaos, I discovered something that turned my world upside down. Nathan was having an affair. I stumbled upon this revelation one evening while working late on a project. My phone buzzed with a notification from a social media platform, a tag and a photo from a user I didn't recognize. Curiosity piqued. I opened the app, and there it was, a photo that felt like a punch to the gut. Nathan, arm in arm with a younger woman, smiling as if he hadn't a care in the world. The woman, Bella Harper, was an influencer known for her glamorous lifestyle posts. Anger and disbelief coursed through me as I scrolled through Bella's profile. There were more photos, subtle hints of their relationship hidden in plain sight. A picture at a restaurant with 2 wine glasses, a shot of a man's hand, Nathan's hand I recognized, holding hers. Each post was a breadcrumb leading to the painful truth of Nathan's betrayal. The pain of the discovery was sharp, but it also brought a strange sense of clarity. Nathan's late nights at the office, the weekends he was out with clients, they all made sense now. He wasn't just neglecting me, he had replaced me. I sat there, in the dim light of my office, feeling a mix of sadness and liberation. Sadness for the love I thought we had, and liberation from the lies I had been living. It was clear now, Nathan's affair wasn't just a fling. It was a deliberate choice, a choice that showed me where I stood in his life. But amidst the storm of emotions, a plan began to form in my mind. Nathan had underestimated me, thought me weak and compliant. He was wrong. I was an interior designer, a creator of spaces that told stories. And now it was time to rewrite my own story, one where I wasn't a victim but the architect of my own future. I spent the night poring over Bella's social media, gathering evidence. I needed to be prepared for the legal battles ahead. But more importantly, I needed closure. I needed to confront Nathan, not as the betrayed wife, but as a woman reclaiming her power. The next morning, I called my lawyer, my voice steady and resolute. "I have something that might interest you," I said, explaining my discovery. "It's time to set the record straight. It's time for Nathan to face the consequences of his actions." The revelation of Nathan's affair with Bella Harper changed everything. It was not just a betrayal. It was a mockery of the vows we had once taken so earnestly. The pain was deep, but it ignited a fire within me, a resolve to stand up for myself and reclaim my life. In the following weeks, I threw myself into my work with a renewed vigor, channeling my emotions into creativity. My designs were bolder, my concepts more daring. It was as if by freeing myself from Nathan's shadow, I had unleashed a part of me that was long suppressed. But the reality of my personal life couldn't be ignored. The divorce proceedings were underway, and with each meeting with my lawyer, I felt a step closer to freedom. I gathered all the evidence of Nathan's affair, preparing myself for the battles ahead. One evening, as I sat reviewing legal documents, Nathan walked in, his demeanor a strange mix of defiance and guilt. "So, you're really going through with this, huh?" he asked, his voice tinged with bitterness. "Yes, Nathan, I am," I replied calmly, without looking up from the papers. He let out a scoff. "You think you'll be better off without me? You think you can just throw away our marriage like it's nothing?" "Our marriage ended the moment you decided to be with someone else, Nathan," I said, finally looking at him. "I'm not throwing away anything. I'm just picking up the pieces of what you broke." Nathan's face hardened. "You'll regret this, Eliza. You're making a mistake." "No, Nathan. The mistake was thinking you would change, but I'm correcting that mistake now." He didn't respond, just turned and left the room, his silence more telling than words. The day of the final hearing arrived quicker than I had anticipated. Standing before the judge, I felt an odd sense of peace. This was it, the moment of truth. Nathan and I presented our cases, the evidence of his affair leaving him with little to defend. The judge's gavel sounded like a bell of liberation when the divorce was finalized. I walked out of the courtroom, a free woman. But this was not just a legal victory. It was a personal triumph. I had stood up against the injustice and disrespect that had colored my marriage. As I stepped outside, the sun seemed brighter, the air fresher. I was no longer Eliza, Nathan's wife. I was Eliza Bennett, a woman who had reclaimed her life, her identity. but this was just the beginning. The next chapter of my life was waiting to be written, and I was ready to be its author. The finality of the divorce brought a sense of closure, but it also opened a new chapter of confrontations and revelations. It was time to face Nathan and his mistress, Bella Harper, in a way they never expected. I continued to live in the same house with Nathan until everything was settled. Our interactions were minimal, cold, and strictly necessary. He had already started to bring Bella around, flaunting his new relationship in a way that seemed designed to provoke me. But I refused to give him that satisfaction. I was planning, waiting for the right moment to make my move. One evening, as I sat in my studio surrounded by my designs, I heard them laughing in the living room. Something about their carefree joy struck a nerve. It was a stark reminder of the life Nathan had shattered. My hands clenched into fists, not out of anger, but determination. It was time to act. The following day, I contacted my lawyer and initiated the final phase of my plan. "It's time to make them understand the consequences of their actions," I said with a resolve that surprised even me. The opportunity presented itself one weekend when Nathan announced that he was taking Bella on a trip. "We'll be gone for the whole weekend," he said, a smug smile on his face. "Enjoy your trip," I replied, my voice steady, giving nothing away. As soon as they left, I swung into action. I had already arranged for a moving company to come. Piece by piece, my belongings, everything I had brought into this house, everything that was mine, were carefully packed and removed. But I didn't stop there. I took everything that represented the life Nathan and I had built together, the furniture we had chosen, the art we had collected, the memories we had created. All of it, gone. When Nathan returned, he walked into an empty house. The shock on his face was palpable. "What have you done?" he stammered, looking around at the barren walls and empty spaces. "I did what I had to do," I said calmly. "I removed everything that was mine, everything that I contributed to this house." "This is insane, Eliza. You've taken everything." "Not everything, Nathan. Just what was rightfully mine. You wanted a new life with Bella, remember? I'm just helping you start from scratch." He looked around, defeated and bewildered. For the first time, I saw a flicker of regret in his eyes, but it was too late for regrets. As I turned to leave, I felt a weight lifting off my shoulders. I had taken back control of my life, piece by piece. Nathan and Bella were left to deal with the empty shell of a home, a fitting metaphor for the hollowness of their betrayal. The days following the great exodus of my possessions from the house were filled with a mix of liberation and reflection. I had taken a decisive step, one that was both empowering and symbolic. It was more than just reclaiming my belongings. It was about asserting my independence from a relationship that had long ceased to be a partnership. I had moved into a small, cozy apartment, a blank canvas that awaited my personal touch. It was in this new space, free from the shadows of the past, that I began to truly process everything that had happened. Meanwhile, Nathan and Bella faced the reality of their choices. The empty house was a constant reminder of the life that had been uprooted. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Nathan was struggling to come to terms with the changes. Bella, on the other hand, seemed more concerned with the loss of the material comforts than the relationship itself. It was during this time that I received an unexpected call. Nathan, his voice was a mix of anger and desperation. "Eliza, you've gone too far. You've taken everything. How could you?" I listened, a calmness enveloping me. "Nathan, I only took what belonged to me. You wanted a fresh start, remember? I'm just helping you with that. You've left us with nothing." His voice cracked, a sign of his fraying composure. "Nathan, you made your choices. Now you live with them. Bella wanted a life with you, and now she has it, just not the way she imagined." There was a pause, and for a moment I thought he had hung up. Then, quietly, he said, "I didn't think you'd actually do it. Sometimes, Nathan, we don't really know people until we see them in a new light." The call ended, leaving a profound silence in its wake. It was a conversation that marked the end of an era. I had spoken not with bitterness, but with the clarity of someone who had closed a painful chapter of her life. As days turned into weeks, I immersed myself in my work and the decoration of my new apartment. The creative process was therapeutic, each design choice a step towards rebuilding myself. I was rediscovering the passions and dreams I had before Nathan, reconnecting with the essence of who I was. One evening, as I sat on my new balcony, a sense of peace washed over me. The city lights twinkled in the distance, each a reminder of the possibilities that lay ahead. I had endured the storm and emerged stronger. In that moment, I knew that the tide had truly turned. I had moved beyond the pain and betrayal. I was no longer just surviving, I was thriving. In the months that followed, my life took on a rhythm of renewal and self-discovery. My new apartment became a sanctuary, a place where I could be myself without the shadows of a strained marriage. Meanwhile, the repercussions of my decisive actions were unfolding in ways I hadn't anticipated. Word reached me about Nathan and Bella's struggles. The luxurious life Bella had flaunted on social media had diminished significantly, her posts now a stark contrast to the opulence she once displayed. Nathan, on the other hand, seemed lost, his professional life suffering as he grappled with the personal upheaval. One day, as I sat in a cafe sketching designs for a client, I noticed Nathan walk in. He looked different. There was a weariness about him that I hadn't seen before. Our eyes met briefly, and in that fleeting moment, I saw a mix of regret and resignation. He approached me hesitantly. "Eliza, can we talk?" he asked, his voice lacking its former confidence. I nodded, setting aside my sketches. The conversation that ensued was a surreal experience. Nathan spoke of his regrets, of how he had underestimated me and the life we had. He talked about Bella, about how their relationship was nothing more than a facade, a superficial connection that paled in comparison to what we had. I listened, not with satisfaction but with a sense of closure. "Nathan, we both made choices," I said calmly. "You chose a path, and I chose mine. We can't undo the past, but we can learn from it." As Nathan left the cafe, I felt a final thread of our connection sever. It was an unspoken goodbye, a mutual acknowledgement that our chapter was closed. Emboldened by these events, I dove deeper into my career. My designs gained recognition, leading to more prestigious projects. I also reconnected with old friends and even made new ones. Life was busy, but it was a fulfilling kind of busy, one that brought a sense of accomplishment and joy. One evening, as I reviewed my latest project, I received a call from an old colleague, Mark, who had always been a supportive friend. He proposed a collaboration on an exciting new venture. It was an opportunity to stretch my creative muscles and be part of something innovative and challenging. As I mulled over Mark's proposal, I realized how far I had come. The pain and betrayal that once defined my days were now just faint echoes of a past life. In their place was a strong, confident woman who had taken charge of her destiny. I picked up the phone and called Mark. "I'm in," I said, a smile spreading across my face. It was time for new adventures, new challenges, and new stories to tell. Months had passed since my last encounter with Nathan, and my life had taken on a new, vibrant rhythm. The collaboration with Mark had been a resounding success, bringing both of us acclaim in the design world. My days were filled with creativity and purpose, a far cry from the uncertainty that had once clouded my life. But it wasn't just my professional life that had flourished. I had found a sense of peace and contentment in my personal life as well. My apartment was now a reflection of my journey. Every piece of furniture, every artwork, told a story of resilience and rebirth. One evening, as I sat on my balcony, a soft breeze playing with my hair, I allowed myself a moment of reflection. The journey from the turmoil of my marriage to where I was now had been long and fraught with challenges, but it had also been a journey of immense growth and self-discovery. I thought about Nathan and how our paths had diverged. I harbored no ill will towards him. Instead, I hoped he found the growth and peace he needed. As for Bella, I wished her well in her own journey of self-discovery. The phone rang, pulling me out of my reverie. It was an invitation to speak at a renowned design conference, an opportunity to share my journey and insights with others. I accepted with a sense of excitement and humility. As I prepared for the conference, I realized that my story was not just about the end of a marriage or the pain of betrayal. It was about the power of resilience, the beauty of starting over, and the importance of staying true to oneself. Standing on the stage at the conference, I looked out at the audience, a sea of eager faces, each on their own journey. I began to speak, not just as a designer, but as a woman who had navigated the depths of despair and emerged stronger. I stand before you today not just as a designer, but as someone who believes in the power of transformation, I began. Every space I design tells a story, and so does every moment of our lives. We have the power to redefine our spaces, our stories, and ultimately ourselves. The applause at the end of my talk was not just an acknowledgement of my words, but a celebration of the journey I had shared. As I left the stage, a sense of fulfillment washed over me. I had not only rebuilt my life, but had also found a way to inspire others with my story. Life, much like design, is about creating beauty from chaos, order from disorder, and joy from pain. And as I continued on my path, I carried with me the lessons of my past, a past that had shaped me but no longer defined me.
I had just finished making dinner for everyone in the family, except the wives. That's okay. I felt happy inside. I looked at my husband and father-in-law. They both agreed with me. Finally, I could say it. It's okay. I'll eat what I made. But then, I remembered something in my bag. I found it, a letter addressed to Mother. My name is Molly. I married Kevin when I was 25, and 3 years later, we had our son. We had a happy life together. After our child was born, I went back to work, and we worked hard to raise our child. The biggest challenge in my life has been my mother-in-law. She's what you might call a control freak. Kevin always tries to please her, but when we first got married, it was tough. Kevin is the second of 3 siblings, and he's the only one who's married. The other 2 are still single. My mother-in-law always wants to be the center of attention in the family. She calls herself the Madonna of the family. It's all men here, and you know how difficult they can be. So I'm the Madonna of this family. Well, she really believes it. And then I entered the picture as the only daughter-in-law. My father-in-law and Kevin's siblings liked me, but I felt like I was seen as a rival in a way. I can't believe Kevin is getting married, my mother-in-law would say. Remember our family meals, she'd tell Kevin. What are you saying? Kevin would reply. It's true, Kevin. Even after you're married, you shouldn't forget the taste of our family's cooking. You should come over for meals. No, Molly cooks well, and we both work. We'll manage our own household. No, she'll make you do all the chores. That's not true. We decide what's best for us. Mom, I don't want to hear that from you. My husband is straightforward when he speaks, which I appreciate. He always supports me completely, but he sometimes misses subtle things and doesn't notice the situation as well. My mother-in-law tries to do things that are hard to notice. For instance, when we visit my in-laws, she prepares meals. It seems normal at first glance, but she never lets me help in the kitchen. Even when I offer, she insists I stay out. The food on the table all looks the same, and I'm not allowed to see what's inside. Once, I had a soup with lots of small fish bones in it. I didn't realize until I had a big gulp, and it made me feel sick. Another time, there was a steak with very bitter garlic mixed in, which was really unpleasant. Molly, are you okay? I think my stomach hurts. What's wrong? Oh, you don't like my food, do you? She's not feeling well. Please stop. Maybe she's just pretending to be sick. I don't think so. Hey, stop. Don't say that to someone who's not feeling well. Could it really be? Okay, everyone's taking her side. That's not what we meant. I made dinner for everyone. What's the issue? Don't worry, I'll finish it all. No. You startled me. What's wrong? Why are you yelling? It's just, I can't let you eat something that's cold. Don't worry about it. I said stop. But my mother-in-law didn't listen. She picked up the plate of meat and potatoes in front of me. What the heck? Oh, my husband threw away the food. Is this vinegar? It tastes completely different from what This has happened before. What? I once got served a soup full of tiny fish bones. Mom, what's happening? I didn't do anything wrong. You must have misunderstood. Of course not. This meat and potatoes taste awful. Here, try some. When my husband offered the food to my father-in-law, my mother-in-law took it from him. If it's that bad, you don't have to eat it. No, that's not what I meant. I'm asking why Molly's cooking is so bad. I have no idea. I think she did something. Enough is enough. It's unbelievable. You never let Molly in the kitchen, and seeing you take the plate like that makes me think something's up. Yeah, I think so too. Fine, I'm done. I'm never cooking another meal again. In the end, my mother-in-law neither admitted nor apologized for the situation. and my husband saw this as a reason to stop visiting his family. With that, we had to. The rest of the day was calm, until I saw something unbelievable with my mother-in-law. One day, I was on a business trip out of town. On my way back to the hotel after a meeting, I spotted my mother-in-law walking hand in hand with a young man in his 20s. What? No way. I was shocked. I'm certain I don't know that guy, so I decided to follow them. They went into a cafe and sat together at a window seat, not facing each other but sitting side by side. Without hesitation, I started recording. Then they leaned closer to each other. Whoa, I can't watch this. After about half an hour, they left the cafe and went into a hotel. The next day, I returned home, waited for the kids to go to bed, and then confronted my husband. Hey, you know what? You wouldn't want to see your parents doing something shameful to you. I was considering whether to tell my husband based on his reaction. If he didn't want to know, I planned to delete the videos and pictures I had taken. I don't really care. You're okay with seeing something shameful involving your own parents? Then I'll take note of that. I understand. Is there something wrong with your parents? But it was your parents. Oh my God, was it my mom? Yeah, I think so. What did she do? Nothing to me. I explained everything that happened yesterday to my husband. Seriously. I have videos and pictures. Let me see. I handed him my phone. Oh my God, that's awful. I can't believe I'm seeing my mom doing that. What does she think she's doing? He didn't seem shocked at all. Aren't you shocked? No, not at all. I mean, it's not the first time this has happened. What? When did it happen before? She used to cheat on Dad because of her frequent travel. She claimed that, but my brother was still in middle school. Dad forgave her, and they worked on their relationship. Oh, I see. Well, I guess this time they won't be able to rebuild it. I had an agency investigate. Can I use our money for it? Of course, it's worth it. Thank you. I'll keep you updated. It took a month to find an agency and get the results. My husband was shocked when he saw the report. Let's show the report to Mom. What? Is that necessary? Why not just give it to Dad and let him decide? That won't make us feel better, Molly. Mom wronged you, didn't she? Let's make sure she faces consequences. That's the only way I'll feel better. I should do something for my dear wife, shouldn't I? Oh, Kevin. To be honest, I wanted to see my mother-in-law lose her composure in front of me. I wanted to make her face the consequences of everything she's done to me. Well done, Kevin. I'll talk to my dad about this before we bring it up. I don't want to blindside him with the truth. Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. So we left our son at my parents' house for the weekend and went to my husband's parents' place. When we arrived, my mother-in-law criticized me as usual, but I wasn't bothered because I knew today would mark the end of her actions against me. We planned to confront her with the evidence during dinner, but my mother-in-law unexpectedly launched an attack right from the start. My husband, my father-in-law, and I were all a bit stunned. Let's begin dinner, my mother-in-law said, smiling. But all three of us, including me, were at a loss for words. World's tiniest meal. She doesn't like my cooking, so she won't eat. I just finished making dinner for everyone in the family except the wives. Okay, fine. I feel relieved. I look at my husband and father-in-law. They both agree with me. All right, it's time to bring it out. It's okay. I'll eat what I made. Wait a minute. I rummaged through my bag. Here it is, Mom. I found this. In my hand is an envelope. Oh, I can't eat this. Oh yes, this was a gift for Mom. I completely forgot. I handed the envelope to my mother-in-law. Oh, you can be clever sometimes. Despite the sarcastic comment, my mother-in-law accepted it happily. And as soon as she saw what was inside the envelope, her hands stopped, and then her whole body started shaking. What's wrong? It's nothing. Are you sure? What did she give you? Just something ordinary. Come on, let's have a look. My mother-in-law tried to use her chopsticks to pick up rice, but she was shaking so much that the rice spilled out of the bowl. Mom mentioned. My husband took the envelope from my mother-in-law. Give it back to me. She looked desperate. My husband took out the contents of the envelope. What's this? It looks like an older woman arranging a date with a younger man. You should check the other side and the back too. That's interesting. On the back, there were photos of my mother-in-law with several young men. Initially, I thought she was having an affair with just one of them, but the agency found out she had relationships with multiple young men. You never learned, you? I can't believe my hard work ended up like this. I think you know what comes next. I'm filing for divorce. Wait a minute. This isn't cheating, it's just for fun. I won't let you waste our money on something like this. It's disgraceful. And these guys are even younger than us. Oh my God. By the way, everyone knows about this now, including Dan and Jason. We're cutting you off. I'm cutting you off too. Don't worry, just accept it. I know you can't afford to pay me alimony. In return, promise to stay away from us. Wait a minute. This wasn't just a casual date. I was just exploring different experiences, right, Molly? You've gone out to eat with other men before. No, that's not true at all. I don't spend money on men who aren't my family. It's a waste. I would have spent it on Kevin or Little John. Don't do this to me. You're also a woman, don't you? Yeah, I am, but what's your point? I'm saying it's not enough to just be a wife or a mother, is it? That's awful. Then why don't you stay single? You. I bet you'll cheat again someday. Don't insult Molly. She's nothing like you, and we all know it. Well, this is a good opportunity for me to tell you something. I've been planning to divorce you when I retire. It seems like the right time. Huh. I forgave you when I found out about your affair a long time ago. You didn't learn from it and kept doing the same thing. I knew it. Actually, on the days you were out, dinner would be frozen food. Did you really think I wouldn't notice? It's all your fault. When you weren't with me, that's what you did. You blame everyone else. It's a miracle our sons turned out to be good people with a mother like you. Yeah, that's because the three of us saw you as a negative example. I think you're the reason Dan and Jason are still single. If you have a spouse like this, your life is seriously messed up. Hey, oh sorry, my mistake. That person used to be my spouse. This is a good beginning. Now get out of my house. You're not getting any of my retirement savings. Wait a minute. I'm entitled to half of it. And because of alimony, I can claim it from 3 years ago when you were cheating on me. It's going to be a lot of money. My mother-in-law paused, thought about it, and then turned and. Where is she going? She must have gone back to her parents' house. After that, my mother-in-law never returned, and they divorced. She was left with nothing. She moved back in with her parents, but now that the money's gone, she seemed disconnected from the younger crowd and stayed home for a while. My husband's grandparents, instead of taking her back in, had her start working full-time. Now she works at a supermarket near her parents' place. My father-in-law is a very forgiving man. My mother-in-law made a big mistake betraying him. With her gone, our family is finally in harmony. My brothers-in-law, Dan and Jason, who rarely visited before, are now around often. Lately, they've been talking about getting married. I'm happy for them. Everyone is smiling. I'm pregnant with my second child now, and will continue putting my family first. Dealing with a mother-in-law like that was tough. It's sad how people who cheat often lose their way. I hope my father-in-law can enjoy his later years in peace now. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video.
Building your own home is a big achievement in life. Let me tell you about how my marriage started to fall apart just after we reached this peak of happiness. My name is Abigail, and I'm 30 years old. My family includes my husband Gary, who is 35, and our 3-year-old daughter Sarah. We decided to build our dream home. You might think everything was smooth sailing and filled with happiness. That's what most people would assume. But for me, it's quite the opposite. Lately, with our new house being built and problems with my in-laws, I've been endlessly worried. The first sign of trouble in our relationship came when we left Sarah at my in-laws' place. Both my husband and I work, so we rarely have any free time. On weekdays, we spend our weekends searching for the right materials and discussing the design of our house. When we took Sarah with us, she would often get bored and restless, so we usually left her with my parents who live close by. But one morning, my father fell and had to see the doctor, so he couldn't watch Sarah. I thought we should cancel our plans for the day. However, Gary suggested, why not leave her at my parents' house? Honestly, I don't have a good relationship with my in-laws. They don't think they need to respect their son's wife. To them, since I'm married into the family, they can say whatever they want. What century are they living in? I felt uncomfortable asking them to babysit a 3-year-old, but if we postponed our plans, it would delay finishing our house. Despite my doubts, we decided to leave Sarah with my in-laws for the day. After we finished our tasks, we stopped at a store and bought some expensive pastries as a thank you gift, then went straight to my in-laws' house. When we arrived that evening, maybe because of the gift, they seemed to be in a good mood. After thanking my mother-in-law and father-in-law, on our way home Sarah asked, "Where's Grandpa and Grandma's room in our new house?" "Sweetie, what do you mean? Did Grandpa and Grandma ask you that? What did you tell them?" I asked. "I told them I didn't know," she replied, then went back to talking with her stuffed penguin she calls my parents. Granddad and Granny, so Grandpa and Grandma would refer to Gary's parents. Perhaps they were wondering if there's a guest room for them in our new house. At least, that's what I thought back then. After that day, my in-laws started visiting frequently, especially in the evenings on weekdays or holidays when we were home. Right now, we're living in a small, older apartment to save money for our house. Whenever my in-laws came over, they would immediately sit down on our dining chairs or sofa, asking to see the blueprints and paperwork for our house that was still being built. Before I could say anything, Gary would eagerly show them everything, explaining in detail. Why does he show them every time? It's already exhausting. They visited so often that my mother-in-law bombarded me with questions. It felt like I was being interrogated in a congressional hearing. It wasn't my husband in the hot seat, but me. I could almost hear the debate moderator saying, "Mil, you may speak." She would scrutinize the blueprint, pointing out flaws in the kitchen's layout and insisting we needed more guest rooms. She'd argue about the need for spare space and even joke about the declining birth rate, thankfully not seriously asking for my thoughts on it. Then it was my turn to respond. "Ms. Abigail, I'd say based on our discussions with my husband and the construction plans we've already set in motion, it's too late to change the layout." But my frustration grew as more questions followed about furniture and appliances. My mother-in-law claims to be a home expert. I've visited many friends' homes and seen different room setups. With that experience, I can easily recognize comfortable rooms and quality furniture. "This house and these rooms don't feel right, they have bad vibes, so things won't go smoothly," she declared with expert emphasis. It was a bit much, considering she's just my mother-in-law. She was so irritating that I jokingly suggested, "What if we turn it into a multi-generational home and split the costs 50-50ths? But my in-laws didn't find it funny. "Are you asking us for money, you ungrateful child? A multi-generational home? I hate the idea of living so formally and reserved." That day they left early. Good riddance. You're not my real parents, and I don't owe you any respect. Instead of parents, they're more like guardians. Later that night, after putting our daughter to bed, my husband came to me looking frustrated. "Mom and Dad mean well, so don't be so distant with them." Cold? I didn't mean to come off that way, but aren't your parents being a bit rude? They constantly interfere with our decisions about our home. It's like they always look down on me, see me just as their daughter-in-law. That's just how parents are. It feels disrespectful to dismiss their advice like that. Don't you understand how that feels? Take a moment to think about it calmly. From then on, my husband turned away and didn't speak to me. I know they're your parents, but we're a separate household, and they haven't given us any financial support. They don't contribute financially but still have a lot to say. Isn't that unfair? My husband told me to calm down, but instead of cooling off, I was boiling with anger over the injustice, which made it hard to sleep. After some ups and downs, our house was finally finished. Just as our family was happily moving in, something unexpected happened. My parents are moving in with us starting today. Dad can take the bigger room upstairs and Mom will be fine in the smaller one. Wait a minute. Hold on. Where is this coming from? We agreed that one of the upstairs rooms would be for Sarah. I never heard anything about this. Plus, what if your parents decide they don't like the rooms? They might not say anything, but they've already seen them. Your parents checked out the rooms the day before we did. Wait, they saw the house before us? Yeah, they wanted to see it, so I gave them my key. It's not a big deal, my husband replied, clearly annoyed as he returned to working on the half-done TV cables. Not a big deal? Well, it is now. It's become a really big deal. I didn't want to see my husband's face, so I left the kitchen where I was packing and went upstairs. I locked myself in the room, trying to clear my head amidst the mix of anger and confusion. Thankfully, I had already dropped Sarah off at daycare, giving me some space and time to think amidst all the unpacking. The sudden news about living with my in-laws made me completely fed up with both my husband and his parents. I didn't want to spend another moment with them, but we had just invested significantly in this house. I needed to calm down and think rationally. I had to figure out what needed to be said and what didn't for the sake of my daughter and myself. I stayed in my room, deep in thought, waiting for my in-laws to arrive as my husband had mentioned they would be coming in the afternoon with a truck full of their belongings. You could at least greet us. Honestly, such rude people. Oh my, nothing's unpacked yet? You're so slow. I overheard my in-laws complain as they made themselves at home downstairs. I decided to go downstairs and face them at the entrance. "Excuse me, but I wasn't informed about this living arrangement," I said, my voice unexpectedly cold. My father-in-law appeared annoyed and shot back, "I told Gary, that should be enough." "No, it's not. This morning was the first I heard about your plan to move in from Gary. I have no intention of living with you, especially after such disrespect." "What?" Gary agreed to it. "You think you can defy your husband like that? Such a presumptuous daughter-in-law. If you don't like it, maybe you should leave. This is hopeless. We've always struggled to communicate properly with them." As I pondered my next words, my husband rushed over. "What's going on, Abigail? Why are you arguing with my parents?" "This isn't just an argument. I'm being criticized simply for being your daughter-in-law, and now you're blaming me too." I realized once again Gary was just like his father, like son. "Gary, I can't possibly live with your parents." "Why not? You're making this difficult for me. As your wife, I'm an individual person. You can't force me to obey." Upon hearing our exchange, Gary's father exclaimed, "We don't need such a daughter-in-law in our home." Then Gary agreed, "Maybe you're right. If she can't respect my parents, maybe we should divorce." I had been waiting for this. "All right, let's get a divorce then," I stated clearly. My husband was the one who asked for divorce, and I, the wife, just agreed to what he wanted. With hope that my phone in my pocket would record our entire conversation properly, I continued, "Since we'll be strangers now, please pay me back the $350,000 I loaned you for this house's construction." His parents gasped in shock, looking completely baffled. Gary's face turned pale as he stared at me. I calmly clarified to his stunned parents, "There seems to be some confusion. Gary didn't contribute a single cent to buying this house. I used my savings because he didn't have any savings. We both worked and split our living expenses equally. The plan was to save individually, but he spent his money instead of saving." "Abigail, that's enough," Gary interjected. "It's true. Yet when we bought the house, Gary insisted it be in his name. That's why I loaned him the money, and we have a written agreement to prove it." "No way," Gary exclaimed. Ignoring their disbelief, I quickly packed essentials, my daughter's toys and clothes, into suitcases and duffel bags. I held her favorite stuffed penguin close. Loading everything into my compact car, I drove away, saying goodbye to the house we had briefly called home. After picking up my daughter from daycare, we headed to my parents' home in Nebraska. My parents, dressed casually, were surprised to see me arrive with so much luggage. "This is sudden, and I know it might be inconvenient. If it's too much trouble, I can stay at a motel," I offered hesitantly. They quickly assured me it was fine. Later, I found out they had been worried I might harm my daughter or myself, though I had sworn to protect her no matter what. I shared the whole story with them, explaining my decision to divorce Gary and my determination to raise our daughter alone. They promised full support and suggested I stay with them for a while, which was a great relief. Since I was working that night, I documented everything that had happened between Gary, his parents, and me. I saved voice recordings of our conversations on my computer and external drive. Armed with this evidence, I visited several law firms on my days off until I found a trustworthy lawyer and officially hired them. A week flew by in the hustle of everyday life since I left our new house. That day, after finishing work and leaving the office, I was surprised to find someone waiting for me. It was my husband, or rather ex-husband, though technically still my husband on paper until the divorce was finalized. I had no intention of speaking with him, but the fear of potential aggression kept me on edge. "So I thought we should go somewhere public," he suggested, and we entered a coffee shop together. I made sure to activate the recording function on my phone, just in case. Trying to remain calm, I asked, "Do you have something to discuss?" "Yes, about the house. I'll transfer it to you and change the name on the deed. Can we consider the money issue settled?" "I'm sorry, but I can't live in that house anymore, especially after your parents were there before us." "Why worry about such details?" "It's not a small thing for me, so the answer is no," I said firmly, taking a sip of my coffee as I observed my ex-husband closely. His hair was messy, sticking out in places, and he had some stubble on his chin. Despite wearing a suit, his shirt was wrinkled, as if it hadn't been ironed or cleaned properly. I wondered about the kind of life he was leading, but he looked worn out. "Please, Abigail, I can't repay such a large sum of money that easily." "You knew it was a significant amount when you borrowed it, didn't you?" "I suggested we put both our names on the house, or even just mine, but you insisted it be in your name, claiming it was my house." "I thought I was the homeowner. I never really intended to get a divorce. I thought you knew I was just bluffing." "I was serious. I'm done with you, and I'm definitely getting a divorce. It's not just about your lack of responsibility. I can't handle your rude parents either." "But I have to go. Sarah is waiting for me." "Wait, I'm taking Sarah with me." Fear gripped me at my ex-husband's words. When I returned to my parents' house, I asked them to be cautious. afraid he might try to take Sarah by force. A few days after my ex-husband's visit, I received word that my in-laws were at Sarah's daycare. I left work early and hurried to the daycare. Fortunately, I had informed them beforehand, so they had my in-laws waiting in a separate room where they couldn't see Sarah. As soon as I entered the room with my in-laws, they started shouting at me. "Give us our granddaughter back, you gold-digging thief." "What do you mean, thief? I haven't stolen anything." "If you're not a thief, then you must be a con artist. You must have done something shady to get that kind of money at your age. It doesn't make sense for you to have so much money." "No, all the money I lent to Gary was mine. It's all from my hard work, my savings, and the gift money from my parents and grandmother." "What gift money?" "Every year my parents gifted me a certain amount to avoid taxes, which was directly deposited into my account. Along with money from selling some stocks and my savings, that's where it all came from. So all that money really was yours. Didn't you give any money as a gift to Gary? You can still make gifts, you know." My father-in-law grunted and fell silent. "They like to spend on expensive things and show off, enjoying luxury above all. As a regular working-class family without passive income, it's clear they probably don't have much in savings. They would never have thought to give money like my parents did." "I'm sorry, but I'm divorcing Gary. I'll be taking custody of Sarah. Please don't come to the daycare anymore." With that, I quickly got Sarah into the car and drove straight to my parents' home. Despite my warnings, Gary and my in-laws continued to show up several times after that. Each time, I tried to stay calm and send them away. However, they often grabbed my arm or shouted hurtful things at me. After I left our new home, I meticulously recorded everything on my phone. About a month later, I sent a letter through my lawyer demanding repayment of debts and a divorce agreement. My ex-husband agreed in principle, but he contested custody of Sarah. However, when I mentioned alimony, his demeanor changed drastically. He looked pale and became much quieter. Armed with ample evidence against him and knowing he had no savings, I pursued my case diligently. It took some time, but I eventually won custody of Sarah, reclaimed the money I had loaned to my ex-husband, and finalized the divorce. Retrieving all the debt repayments from him took longer than expected, mainly because the sale of our new house encountered difficulties initially. I had fought against Gary and his parents moving into the new house, but they couldn't afford the $350,000. Gary lacked savings, and even if his parents sold their old home, it wouldn't cover the cost. Eventually, they had to list the new house for less than they bought it for. After several price drops, they finally found a buyer. The difference between the buying and selling prices, along with real estate commissions, was borrowed from the bank by my ex-husband. Losing the house and burdened with debt, my ex-husband ended up moving back in with his parents into their old run-down house. To make matters worse, Gary's divorced sister also moved back in with her 2 teenage sons. Now 6 people were squeezed into a small old home. It quickly gained a reputation in the neighborhood for constant arguments and tension. Fortunately, that family no longer bothered us. With Gary struggling to afford child support, it's no surprise he's kept a low profile. 4 years have passed since then, and my daughter Sarah is now in 2nd grade. We're renting a place near my parents' home, and on days when I'm late from work, they look after Sarah. Despite the challenges, we're managing well and enjoying our time together. I had thought I might stay single and continue living like this forever, but recently I've started dating someone. He's a 36-year-old man who was previously married and has a daughter in 1st grade. We got to know each other through school drop-offs and pickups, and he eventually expressed his feelings for me. Lately, we've been going out together with our daughters. The other day, Sarah casually mentioned, if we ever build a house, it'd be nice if all 4 of us had our own rooms, and maybe we could get a dog. My heart skipped a beat. In fact, he had proposed to me not long ago. Both of us have daughters, and they come first in our decisions, so I haven't given him a definite answer yet. But now, I've made up my mind. I hugged Sarah tightly and said, "That sounds wonderful. I'd love to build a new home. This time we'll all discuss it together as a family and make sure it's a place where everyone can be happy." I was worried if my mom talked about leaving money because they don't have a big house. Surprise. I didn't think she'd give Monica a gift before leaving. Maybe Mom wanted to show love to Monica her own way. While talking with my husband Arthur, I opened a gift from my mother-in-law meant for our daughter. I wondered what it could be. When I saw what was inside, I got really mad and threw it away. Arthur, changing nearby, was shocked to find it in the trash. "Mary, what are you doing?" "Mom got a gift for Monica," Arthur scolded, unaware. "Did you see what's inside? You'd want to throw it away too," I exclaimed. Arthur looked puzzled, then retrieved the bag from the trash to see for himself. "You must be joking." "My name's Mary, and I'm a 30-year-old stay-at-home mom. Arthur and I have been married for 3 years. I used to work, but after our daughter Monica was born last year, I quit my job. We both love our daughter dearly, and being a family of 3 brings us so much happiness. I wish this warm time could last forever. But things have changed. One concern I have is my relationship with my mother-in-law. At first, she seemed really kind. She accepted our marriage easily when we told her about it. Even though we didn't visit her often, whenever we did, she treated me well, and I thought we had a good relationship. Things started to shift about a year after we got married. Sadly, my father-in-law passed away from an illness. My mother-in-law was deeply saddened because she loved him very much. She was very low, and Arthur didn't seem to know how to comfort her. As she slowly started to feel better, which relieved both Arthur and me, she began treating me harshly. It seemed like after losing her husband, she realized her only source of affection was her son. She started being cold towards me, perhaps feeling jealous that I had taken her son away from her. She also took pride in the family property and lineage passed down from her late father-in-law. Once she directly told me, "Don't assume you'll inherit this house easily." Even though the property was valuable, it originally belonged to her husband's family, so logically it would pass down to Arthur, not me. But after becoming distant, my mother-in-law began treating me like a nuisance and started tormenting me. "Mary, when will you have a baby? It's your responsibility to give birth to an heir. If you can't do that, you'll have to leave Arthur." This became her attitude towards me. Every time we met, she pressured me about having a baby. I gave birth to a child last year, which was a surprise considering the stress I was under. However, my mother-in-law wasn't satisfied that our child was a daughter. She simply said, "Well then, next year," as if it were expected. Having children in consecutive years is difficult. Also, Arthur and I hadn't even discussed having a second child yet. When I mentioned this, my mother-in-law insisted, "What are you talking about? Your duty is to give birth to a male heir, no matter how many children it takes." She keeps repeating the same things so much that it's shocking. It's like she's stuck on a loop, saying the exact same phrases over and over again. Sometimes I wonder if she's like an AI robot programmed to only say those things. In today's world, her obsession with having a male heir is incredibly outdated and absurd. I wish she would let go of these old-fashioned ideas and appreciate her granddaughter, Monica, who is here now. Every time I see her, it just disgusts me more. But when she's around my husband, her son, she puts on a different face. She acts like she's understanding and kind towards me. The contrast between how she acts when it's just the 2 of us and when my husband is there is so stark. It's like she's 2 different people. I almost want to take pictures and compare them. No matter how well she hides it from my husband, her awful treatment of me, her daughter-in-law, raises serious doubts about her as a person. Doesn't she think about the possibility of me telling my husband about how she really behaves? Or does she believe she can keep fooling him forever? Throughout my pregnancy, she relentlessly harassed me, causing a lot of distress. Whenever my husband wasn't around, she would approach me and say things like, "You understand, right? If it's not a boy, I won't forgive you. If it's a girl, you should consider abortion." Hearing those words made me seriously question her humanity. When I objected, saying it was going too far, she responded, "A girl will just get married and leave. It would be a waste of money and time." I remember thinking to myself, this woman is beyond hope. For me, the gender of the baby didn't matter. All I wanted was a healthy child whom I could love unconditionally. My mother-in-law's words caused me a lot of stress. Each time she made these hurtful comments, I would respond vaguely, just trying to endure until the baby was born. When my mother-in-law found out the baby was a girl, her reaction was as awful as I had anticipated. It was then that her true, unpleasant nature, usually hidden from my husband, became evident. "Why did you have a girl? I've told you countless times to have a boy." That was the first thing my mother-in-law said when she visited the hospital and saw her granddaughter. My husband, completely unaware, seemed bewildered by her comment. My mother-in-law often visited our apartment when my husband wasn't around. She used to say, "I'm here to educate you as my daughter-in-law," but it felt more like she came to torment me under the guise of giving advice. Her so-called guidance was filled with sarcastic remarks. She'd say things like, "You really can't cook, can you? Aren't you embarrassed to make such awful food? Poor Arthur, maybe that's why you couldn't have a boy." These criticisms were baseless, but she always found ways to blame my homemaking skills for not giving birth to a son. She criticizes everything, even linking it to the idea of having a boy. My mother-in-law is always finding fault. I feel like everything I do is wrong and she insists I redo it. Her frequent visits with this attitude were really draining. Each time I have to deal with her, I find myself disliking her more and more. I have my own way of doing things around the house, and I'm tired of constantly hearing about having a boy. I wonder if I should have stood up for myself more. But deep down, I sympathize with my mother-in-law, who is grieving the loss of my father-in-law. I held on to a faint hope that she might return to the kind person she used to be. Maybe my optimism made me overlook her behavior. One day, as usual, she came over, complaining about various things, and then started her usual mantra: we should have a boy. She even mentioned a name she had in mind, Thomas. It was getting harder to tolerate her. As these days went by, my daughter's second birthday was approaching. I was busy preparing to make her day special, but then my mother-in-law showed up, as if on cue when my husband was at work. Even on a day meant for celebrating my daughter's birthday, I didn't want her there. Actually, I never do. I paused the birthday preparations, brewed some tea, and entertained her in the living room. Why is she still a girl? My mother-in-law remarked, looking at my daughter. Please stop, I pleaded. Today is my daughter's birthday. I just wish she would leave already. Lately, she hasn't been as critical about household chores. I've started to figure out what might please her, but her comments about having a boy and continuing the family line haven't stopped. Are you pregnant yet? There won't be a small age gap anymore, so you should hurry up and have a boy. I've said it many times, but my husband and I aren't desperate to have a child. No one knows what the future holds with having children. We were fortunate to have a daughter shortly after getting married, but there are couples who struggle for years without success. Children don't come just because you want them to. It should be obvious with a little thought. I must have been under a lot of stress. This was the first time I firmly and clearly expressed this to my mother-in-law. When I did, she glared at me angrily. What kind of daughter-in-law am I dealing with here? It's because of your attitude that you haven't had a boy. You're influencing Arthur too, aren't you? Of course you are. Otherwise, Arthur would want a boy just like me. I was stunned. Arguing with my mother-in-law seemed pointless. I've told you many times you're useless until you have a boy. I couldn't let her continue to disrespect me like this anymore. Enough is enough. My husband has never spoken to me like that. We've built a happy family with our daughter. It's you who's disrupting that. If you plan to tear apart my family, don't come back to this house. I finally said it all, releasing my pent-up frustrations. My mother-in-law listened, her fists clenched and hands shaking as if she wanted to retort. But just then, Arthur arrived home. Immediately, her demeanor changed. Arthur, welcome home, she greeted him warmly. I was disgusted by her sudden shift. Mom, I didn't know you were here, Arthur said. Yes, but I'm leaving now, she replied curtly. No, wait, I forgot, this is for Monica's birthday, she added, handing me a paper bag. Huh, was all she said before leaving with a smile. Arthur and I were left bewildered. Was Mom all right? He asked. We were on the verge of a fight, but then you came back. I've been venting about my mother-in-law to Arthur for a while now. At his request, I recorded and played back our conversations. His reaction was, "This is terrible." Later he said to me, "If Mom does something outrageous again, let me know." He's been supportive of me, and that brings us to today. I recorded my interaction with my mother-in-law today and played it for Arthur. Well, you two really had a disagreement. You might be in trouble if she brings up inheritance issues, especially since they don't even have a big house. But I didn't expect her to give Monica a birthday gift when she left. Maybe Mom is trying to show affection for Monica in her own way. While chatting with Arthur, I opened the present from my mother-in-law meant for our daughter. I was curious to see what she had given us. With a little excitement, I checked the contents of the gift, but I was instantly filled with anger when I saw what was inside the box. What on earth is this? I exclaimed in frustration and threw the gift into the trash. Arthur, who was changing clothes in the room, was surprised to see the gift in the trash. Mary, what are you doing? Mom went out of her way to buy a gift for Monica. That's too much, he scolded me, unaware of what had happened. I knew Arthur would understand once I explained. Did you see what's inside? You'd want to throw away this kind of gift too. It's unbelievable, I told him, frustrated. Arthur looked puzzled, then retrieved the paper bag from the trash and looked inside. You're kidding, right? He said in disbelief. The gift from my mother-in-law was beyond belief. One item was a stack of adoption papers suggesting she wanted us to give up our daughter. The other was a virility drug, seemingly pushing us to try harder to have a boy. Even Arthur was shaken by her audacious actions. This is too much, he muttered quietly, pocketing the car keys and heading for the door. I followed Arthur, holding our daughter tightly. We drove straight to his parents' house, seething with anger. Neither of us spoke during the drive, but we shared the same intense emotions. Soon we arrived at his parents' house. Arthur opened the door without bothering to ring the bell and walked in. I followed him inside. In the living room, my mother-in-law was casually sipping tea. Oh, you're here. Weren't you celebrating Monica's birthday? Her nonchalant demeanor implied that the gift she gave was no big deal. In a tense voice, my husband asked, Mom, what's the meaning of this gift you sent? His voice was clearly filled with anger. Unfazed or perhaps unaware, my mother-in-law chuckled smugly. I thought it was time to seriously consider having a son. You've said you weren't planning for a second child, right? If you give up your first child for adoption, you'll have a reason to try again. That's absurd. Suggesting we give up our precious daughter for adoption just to have a male heir. You should understand your responsibility as the only son of this family. It seemed my mother-in-law had run out of patience, revealing her true beliefs even to her son. Gently yet firmly, my husband responded, "I see. So that's how you think, Mom?" "Yes, exactly. You need to have a son to continue the family line." "Enough of that. I love Monica and I love Mary. Isn't it more important to have a family bonded by love rather than just lineage? I've always valued you as a parent who shares our blood. Please take care of Monica as well." Even considering giving her up for adoption is completely out of line, my husband said firmly to his mother, his anger tempered with gentleness. But it seemed his kindness went unnoticed by my mother-in-law. "Ah, I see. You don't understand me as well as I thought you did," she responded. "There's no point in having a girl. Eventually she'll marry into another family. It's your duty to continue our respected family line," she continued, unmoved by his words. My husband relaxed his fists. "It seems my words won't reach you anymore. If this house and lineage mean so much to you, then why don't you take care of them all by yourself? I won't stand in your way." My mother-in-law tilted her head in confusion. "What are you talking about? You're the only son of this family. Naturally, you will inherit this house and land and become the head of the family." My husband smiled slightly and said to her, "No, I refuse. I'm cutting ties with you and becoming part of Mary's family." "What?" My mother-in-law was taken aback by my husband's unexpected declaration of adoption. That's unacceptable. You have to inherit this house and have a son," she protested. "I'm tired of all of that. I can't forgive you anymore. You've crossed a line. You've gone too far," he replied firmly. "Reflect on your actions alone." "Arthur, wait." My mother-in-law bowed her head and tried to cling to my husband's leg. He gently shook off her hand, and we left her house together. Later, we explained everything to my parents, and my husband officially became an adopted son of my family. From that point on, my mother-in-law was no longer a part of our lives. According to what my husband heard through a relative, my mother-in-law was bedridden due to the shock of being abandoned by her only son. Despite this, I feel no pity or sympathy for her. She brought so much turmoil into our lives with her selfish actions. Afterward, my husband, our daughter, and I moved into a newly purchased home. Part of the reason was to avoid any further intrusion from my mother-in-law, but also because it felt like the right time for us to have our own place. Now the three of us live happily together in our beautiful new home. I'm grateful that my husband prioritized our family. Whatever challenges the future may bring, I know we'll face them together and continue to enjoy our daily lives. This house is really tough. My parents are both bedridden, and my older brother uses a wheelchair. Should keep your voice down, they might hear you. But I need to say it out loud. Imagine being in my shoes. I come home tired from work every day, only to find a house full of sick people. It's really sad. Lately, when my husband gets home, he starts complaining right away. I'm scared his complaints will wake my in-laws and Bill, who are sleeping in the other rooms. "But Brian, you just lie down and ask about dinner and a shower. You never check on your family." I've been saying this. I'm exhausted from work and can't handle everything alone. If you won't help, you can't complain. Wait, are you misunderstanding something here? Misunderstand what? Taking care of the house is your job, isn't it? Who do you think pays the bills here? Don't act like you're better than me. You couldn't survive without me. My name is Rachel, and I'm 32 years old. I've been married for 6 years. I lost my parents in a car accident when I was in elementary school and grew up in foster care until I finished high school. After that, I found a job at a factory that makes electronic parts, which is part of a big company that makes electrical equipment. My husband joined the main company a year after I started working there. We met when he came to work at our factory, started dating, and later got married. Before we got married, my husband Bill worked as a freelance system engineer and lived alone in a rented apartment that he also used as his office. After we got married, we moved in with his parents. When I first met my in-laws, they welcomed me warmly, even though they knew I grew up in foster care. I had often felt looked down upon because I didn't have parents, so their kindness meant a lot to me. A few years ago, my mother-in-law fell ill and became mostly bedridden. I decided to quit my job and became a full-time homemaker to take care of her. On her better days, she taught me how to do household chores, which I wasn't very good at. Now I have 2 sons, and I always wanted to cook together with my daughter-in-law someday. I'm so glad you're here, Rachel. I often found myself thinking, if my mom were still alive, would we have spent time together in the kitchen like this? Sometimes when I made a mistake while cooking, my husband would criticize me, but my in-laws would eat quietly without complaining. She put a lot of effort into it, so just eat quietly instead of complaining. My father-in-law would scold my husband. Bill visited us only once a month, but he always had a smile on his face. He would bring sweets from famous shops and share them with me. He was always considerate and kind, like a real brother. Being part of their family made me truly happy. However, 3 years ago when my father-in-law retired, my mother-in-law got pneumonia and became mostly bedridden. She had been looking forward to traveling with her husband after his retirement, so it was devastating for her. I did everything I could to cheer her up. My father-in-law, now retired, took an active role in caring for her. Bill also came over to help out, and slowly but surely, her smile returned. The next year, my father-in-law also fell ill. He spent about 2 months in the hospital, and like my mother-in-law, became mostly bedridden. Surprisingly, my husband didn't visit him in the hospital, but Bill visited often and helped care for him, which was a huge relief. Taking care of his father without complaint is only natural, Bill would say to me. On the other hand, my husband hasn't been helping with my mother-in-law's care at all, not even when I'm at the hospital. I have a job, you know. It's not like John's laid-back situation where he can stay at home, my husband argues. It frustrates me, but with John's help, we managed while my father-in-law was in the hospital. Now, though, we have to take care of both of them. I thought it was normal to care for my in-laws, but it's disappointing that my husband isn't cooperative at all. Hey, could you pitch in a bit on your days off? I asked him. I think it would make your mom and dad happy. I don't have time for that, he replied. John doesn't even live here, but he always comes to help out. Why don't you do anything when you live here? That's because he doesn't live here. Be grateful I'm even staying here, my husband retorted. As time passed, my husband's language grew even harsher. I never realized he could be so hurtful, and my disappointment only deepened. John's visits to check on his parents and help with shopping and chores were a huge relief. I was starting to adjust to this routine, hoping we could make it work. But then John had a car accident and suffered a severe spinal injury. Now he's in a wheelchair. Why does everything bad keep happening? I lamented, feeling very upset. With John now in a wheelchair, he had to move back in with his parents. Another mouth to feed, great. Is this your fault? What are you talking about? Ever since I married you, it's been one disaster after another. Are you some kind of jinx? My husband exclaimed. His words made me wonder if there was some truth to it. Maybe I was bringing bad luck to everyone around me. Should I just disappear? But if I left, what would happen to my in-laws and John? I couldn't imagine my husband taking care of all three of them. Since John moved back in, my husband rarely came home. He spent long hours at work, had business dinners, played golf, or went out with friends on his days off. John is adjusting to life in a wheelchair and can manage some things on his own, but not everything. He's still the same kind-hearted person he was before the accident. Sometimes I wonder if he and my husband are really brothers. My in-laws and John have been hurt by how my husband treats me. They've even said I could leak him if I wanted to, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. Then one night, my husband came home drunk and brought a woman with him. "Hey, I'm home. This is my maid," my husband slurred, introducing the woman. "Come on, she must be your wife. She actually looks like a maid, though." "Who are you?" "I'm Brian's girlfriend. He said he wanted to show me what his wife looks like, so here I am." "I didn't expect such an old lady, though," the woman said arrogantly. "What's your problem coming to my house? Chill out. I brought Brian home because he's drunk. You could at least thank me," my husband slurred in response. "Don't act so superior, maid," he added before passing out. "Don't sleep here, Brian," she said, trying to wake him up. "Oh well, I can't help it. I'll leave him to you," she shrugged and left. I was on the verge of tears, staring at my drunken husband snoring in the hallway. I wish I were just a maid. At least then I wouldn't feel so embarrassed. I could keep things professional. The next morning, I confronted my husband about bringing a woman home. "What's the big deal?" "I'm hungover this early in the morning, you know." "The woman who came back with you yesterday said she was your girlfriend." "She said that, huh? Is it true?" "Yeah, it is," my husband smirked, showing no remorse. I felt my heart grow cold as he admitted his affair so casually. "So you've been cheating?" "Well, I guess you could say that, but you're not even a woman to me anymore." "What do you mean? Why do you think I married you?" "I thought you would make a good maid. My mother was often sick and I needed someone to take care of her when necessary. That's why I married you, plain and simple." "I don't understand." "A woman without a family won't complain, no matter how I treat her. You have nowhere else to go, so you have to stay here." Well, I didn't expect my father and brother would also need care. But whether it's one person or three, it's all the same. As my husband laughed and joked about it, I felt my strength draining away. Had he always seen me this way? The realization that he married me for these reasons brought tears to my eyes. Seeing my distress, my husband laughed again. "I'll leave you here, so make sure you take good care of them and don't complain about whatever I do outside. You don't have the right to do that. You're just a housekeeper and a caregiver," my husband declared. I was too exhausted to argue further, and leaving wasn't an option either. Like my husband pointed out, I had nowhere else to go and no one else to rely on. But more than anything, I couldn't bear to abandon my in-laws and Bill, who had shown me such kindness. They had given me a sense of belonging and warmth that I had never known before. How could I possibly leave them behind? If I divorce my husband, I'll become a stranger to them. They're the only family I have, and I can't let go of that feeling, I thought to myself. Seeing that I couldn't argue back, my husband grew even more audacious. He didn't hesitate to use foul language in front of my in-laws and Bill. I'm so unlucky, burdened by these three. I need to blow off some steam or I can't take it anymore, he complained. From my perspective, he wasn't doing anything to help around the house or with caregiving. Instead, he did as he pleased, including having affairs. It seemed like he was enjoying himself while I struggled. Oh, well, I'm taking my paid leave next month and going on a trip. A trip to Hawaii with my girlfriend, my husband announced. What? So it's a vacation with your girlfriend while I handle everything at home? I responded incredulously. You're technically my wife, but you're not my main woman. You're just a caregiver, so this isn't an affair trip. It's a trip with my main woman, he explained casually. I was left speechless by his brazen declaration. There was no use arguing with him anymore, and honestly, I didn't have the energy to argue or even feel angry anymore. I see. Do as you wish, I replied quietly. His announcement about going on a trip with his girlfriend didn't stir a hint of jealousy in me. It made me realize once again that I had no feelings left for my husband. The only reason I stayed was for my in-laws and Bill. I couldn't bear to leave them behind. That was all that mattered to me. My husband proudly shared his plans for a trip with his mistress with his family. But my in-laws and Bill looked at him with cold eyes. So the following month, my husband left on his affair trip, full of excitement. You take care of the three of them without any trouble. That's all you're good for, he told me before leaving. Instead of feeling angry, I felt relieved that I wouldn't have to listen to his sarcastic remarks for at least a week. That night, I enjoyed a peaceful evening, and my in-laws and Bill seemed a bit happier. And then I slept well. The next morning, I woke up late and rushed downstairs. Oh no, I overslept. You must all be hungry. But when I rushed into the living room, I was stunned by what I saw. It felt surreal, as if I were still dreaming. Was this real? I had seen this scene so many times in my dreams. What's the matter, Rachel? You look like you've seen a ghost, Mama said with a smile. I think I need to wake up properly, I mumbled, turning to go back to my bedroom. You're definitely awake, Rachel. This isn't a dream. We're in the middle of a strategy meeting, Mama reassured me. In the living room, there was a whiteboard set up, and Bill was standing in front of it, writing something. The board read, Escape Plan. I couldn't believe my eyes. Why was Bill standing? Where was his wheelchair? I glanced around and noticed it folded up in a corner of the hallway. Come on, Rachel. Don't just stand there. Come sit at the table, Mama urged me. Isn't this a dream? I asked, still trying to grasp the reality of the situation. Well, shall we execute the plan? Phil said with a mischievous smile, standing up. Mama also rose from her seat, ready to follow him. I nearly collapsed seeing the three of them, who were supposed to be frail and bedridden, standing before me. And then a whirlwind week unfolded. When my husband returned from his trip, he called with an excited voice. I'm at the airport now, heading home with my girlfriend. Have dinner ready. She'll be living with us from now on. Don't worry, you'll stay right here, taking care of us, playing the role of a housemaid for both me and her. Oh, I see. Do as you wish, I replied quietly. Then you're a pitiful woman, you know. You can't even complain when your husband brings another woman home. You have nowhere else to go, no family to rely on. You're stuck clinging on to me. Anyway, keep on serving me, he taunted. He seemed to be reveling in his own satisfaction, pleased that everything was going according to his plan. I remained silent. An hour later, I received a frantic call from him, a stark contrast from his earlier tone. What? What's going on? What do you mean there's a stranger in our house? Oh, they must have moved in, I replied calmly. Who are they? What are you talking about? Well, it's a rental property, isn't it? Once we moved out, it's rented to someone else. The real estate agent said he appreciated how well we kept the place clean, my husband explained. What do you mean, we moved out? Our home was a rented single-family house we moved into when we got married. It was meant for us and my in-laws, with Phil covering the rent, I clarified. Indeed, most of our living expenses were covered by Phil. Initially, my husband contributed to utilities and other costs. However, as my mother-in-law and Phil's health declined, he started withholding his contributions, arguing that his presence alone was enough support. Bill had reservations about his brother's behavior but didn't feel he could say much after moving out. Then he had a traffic accident that left him partially paralyzed initially. He believed it would be a permanent condition but began recovering surprisingly quickly, though it seemed temporary. This prompted him to move back in with his parents. Despite my in-laws actually improving in health, Bill and Mama pretended to still be frail to deceive my husband. They started planning to leave the house, with Bill's help being crucial for their scheme. This led him to return home. My in-laws had secretly purchased a retirement home with their savings and retirement funds, preparing for the future. Bill handled all the paperwork while they decided on their move. Upon discovering my husband's trip with his mistress, they decided it was time to put their plan into action. I was completely taken aback when they revealed their plan to me. To make matters better, they had already arranged a place for me to stay, they said. I apologize for keeping this from you as well, Rachel. I thought you might not be able to keep this secret because you're such an honest person. There's no way to thank you enough for everything you've done for us, my in-laws said as they held my hand and smiled. I wish I could spend more time with them, I said tearfully. You have your own life, dear. You don't have to be tied down to us. My parents are in good hands with me around, Rachel. You don't have to worry about a thing. But you know you're always welcome to visit. You mean more to us than a real daughter. We sincerely pray for your happiness. I was so overwhelmed with gratitude and happiness that I couldn't stop crying. When I told my husband about this, he was speechless. He must have turned pale, as he had his eyes on my Phil's retirement funds. He used to tell me to get hold of my Phil's bank card. Now he realized that's not going to happen. Where am I supposed to live? What about my stuff? He demanded. You didn't have much stuff. The furniture and appliances belonged to my Phil. Your parents sold your belongings, including expensive bags and watches, and gave me the money as a down payment for alimony, I explained. Down payment for what? He asked, bewildered. It's alimony for all the verbal abuse you've subjected me to. And I'll also claim additional alimony for your affair, I asserted. What? I'm not paying alimony to a caregiver, he retorted. It doesn't matter what you say. Legally, I was your wife, so I have the right to claim alimony from both you and your mistress, I replied firmly. Well, that settles it, he muttered, defeated. Wait, where are you now? Let's meet and talk, he pleaded. No way. I never want to see your face again, and I'm not telling you where I am, I replied firmly. No way. I'll send the divorce papers and alimony claim to your office, I stated resolutely. After that, he made numerous attempts to contact me, but I blocked him. Despite his reluctance to proceed with the divorce, Bill hired a lawyer, and we managed to finalize it. I received a lump sum payment for alimony. As it turned out, the woman he cheated with was married to his friend, and her furious husband confronted him at his office, exposing everything. This led to my husband losing his job. The woman was also kicked out of her house after her affair with my husband was discovered before their trip together. Initially, my husband had planned for them to return home together, but their relationship fell apart. Unable to secure a new job, he now struggles with debts from his past lavish spending and alimony payments, juggling multiple part-time jobs to make ends meet. He asked my Bill for help, but of course, he refused and brushed it off with a laugh. Later on, I found a new job thanks to a referral from Phil, and I'm truly enjoying my work every day. I still regularly meet with my in-laws, who treat me like their own daughter. I always eagerly anticipate our time together. Additionally, Bill has found happiness with a wonderful woman whom he's marrying. She's incredibly kind, and they make a perfect pair. I was deeply moved when Bill invited me to their wedding. When he said, I would be honored if you could attend as my sister, I couldn't hold back my tears. I'm hopeful that I can maintain this wonderful relationship with my in-laws and Bill for years to come. My husband gave me divorce papers. His part was already filled out. If there's anything you don't like, feel free to give this out, okay? He smiled, a smile that seemed to say he couldn't possibly be wrong. Years later, I never would have imagined that the man I married, Tatum, after an office romance, would one day make me want to slap that smile off his face. I'm Sally, a working wife married for 3 years now. We don't have kids yet. Our marriage isn't great, but it's not terrible either. My husband isn't exactly controlling, but lately he's been lazy and doesn't contribute much. It's not unusual for both spouses to share chores, but my husband refuses to help out. He still insists that housework is women's work. Maybe it's because he lived with his parents for so long, but I think it's mostly because of his influence from his family, especially his mother. When you marry someone, the type of mother-in-law you end up with can really shape your married life. It's like a luck game, and whether you get lucky or not with your mother-in-law can make a big difference. My luck? Well, it's like getting the same disappointing prize every time. Sally, can't you make a decent meal? Another miss? Today my meeting ran late, and I got home late, so when I managed to leave on time, I do cook properly. What are you talking about? For a woman, taking care of the house is more important than work. It's common sense to have dinner ready when your husband gets home. I wish that kind of common sense had stayed in the 90s. Every day after work, my mother-in-law is somehow always there. My husband gave her a spare key without consulting me, so now she comes over every day. She's always there before I arrive, but I'm too afraid to ask how early she starts settling in. Then she spends her time finding faults around the house and bombards me with criticism and snide remarks as soon as I get home. Honestly, if Tatum keeps eating like this, it's going to ruin his health. That's why I cook when I can. Sigh, my poor son, stuck with such a disappointing wife. It's frustrating. She just brushes off everything I say, like she's not even listening, and calling him my poor boy is just weird. If it happened occasionally, it might be bearable, but her coming over every single day like this is incredibly stressful. What's worse is how my husband just laughs it off and doesn't intervene. And if she's going to come over every day, the least she could do is pitch in with something. But no, she's quick to criticize and make sarcastic remarks, that she never lifts a finger to help. Sometimes she even takes portions of the dinner I've prepared. I'm so tired. Well, I'll just take this takeaway then. Hold on, if you take that, we won't have anything for dinner. That's why I keep telling you to come home earlier and cook, but today, I couldn't. Stop making excuses. Just hurry up and cook for my dear son. I'm taking this. Oh, and I'll grab the strawberries from the fridge too. Bye now. Wait, you can't just take our dinner without asking. Even after our dinner was taken, my husband didn't say a word. I'm really getting annoyed, giving him an angry look, but he just keeps grinning foolishly. It's so frustrating. Why aren't you saying anything when our dinner was taken? It's no big deal, just a little bit. It's not just a little. They took the whole thing. Then hurry up. Huh? I'm really hungry. Hurry up and make dinner, will you? I was left speechless with anger and disbelief as my husband went to the living room and flopped down on the sofa. Oh, this is so infuriating. At least pay for the takeout. I was seething with anger, screaming in my mind. I'm fed up with my mother-in-law showing up unannounced every day, but on the rare day she doesn't come, I feel uneasy. Why is that? When I got home from work, my mother-in-law was unusually absent. My husband, who should have been home before me, was also missing. Even though it should have been peaceful, I felt a sense of unease. The reason became clear the moment I opened the fridge. It was gone. The steak I had saved for a special occasion, bought on payday, was missing from the freezer where I had stored it. There was only one possible explanation. I hurried out of the house, jumped on my bike, and pedaled as fast as I could while still being cautious. My destination was my in-laws' house, just a 7-minute bike ride away. Finally arriving there, breathless from covering the distance in 5 minutes, I wasted no time. I pushed open the unlocked front door of their house and called out, but got no response. Yet I sensed someone inside. Knowing my mother-in-law often enters our home unannounced, I went in without hesitation. What I saw inside was shocking. There it was, my steak, the package emptied and the remains lying on the table. Seeing it almost completely eaten, I couldn't help but scream. My in-laws and, strangely, my husband looked at me in surprise. Sally, what are you doing here? Why did you barge in like this, Sally? Ignoring their questions, I grabbed the tray that had held the steak and glared at them. This is the steak I bought, right? Did you eat it without asking? Oh, that? It was delicious, thank you. My mother-in-law smiled cheerfully at me, while my face burned with anger. It's not about whether it was delicious. I bought that to share with my husband. Why did you eat it without asking? It's no big deal. Tatum had some too, but I didn't get to eat any. Hemph, serves you right for planning to eat it alone. Consider it a lesson for not buying enough for all of us. Learn from this. Why am I the one who has to learn a lesson? I looked at my husband, hoping for support, but he just grinned foolishly again. And you, why didn't you stop them? Well, I did get to have some, so it's okay if I didn't get more. There's no need to get so upset. We can just buy more. That's not the point. It's useless. Nothing I say seems to get through to my husband. Just then, tears started welling up in my eyes, and I felt a gentle hand on my shoulder. I looked up to see it was my father-in-law, always calm and quiet. I never understood what he was thinking, but I couldn't believe he joined in eating it. Or maybe he didn't know I had bought it. That's what I thought. Anyway. Sally, next time, get a bigger piece of meat so we can all enjoy it properly, my mother-in-law commented casually. That's not the issue here at all. Do they have no sense of apology? Their selfish actions drained me so much that I couldn't even find the energy to respond. I'm leaving. Don't you dare come barging in here again. My mother-in-law's voice rang out as I turned to leave. My husband stayed behind, mindlessly drinking beer. At that moment, I felt utterly indifferent. A few days later, I realized I needed to have a serious talk with my husband. The conversation took a surprising turn. What? I blurted out involuntarily. While I was out working, I unexpectedly saw my husband. Seeing him wasn't unusual. He's in sales after all. However, it was strange because he had told me he was on a business trip in another state. Why? What's going on? To make matters worse, he was walking arm in arm with a woman I didn't know. Judging by his foolish grin, it was clear they had more than just a casual relationship. I instinctively hid and listened as they approached, overhearing their conversation. "Tatum, why are you looking at me like that?" she asked. "Because you're so cute," he replied in a pathetic, lovesick tone. Their conversation continued. "Do you really want to marry me?" she questioned. "Yes, I want to marry you as soon as possible," he assured her. "Then will you get a divorce?" "Of course, I'll talk to her about it tonight." Decision made, he affirmed. It was confirmed. He was cheating. In that moment, I felt no shock at all. Instead, I realized I had fallen completely out of love with him. There was no love left for him in my heart. It was all gone. "I'm done," I thought, feeling indifferent. I knew what I had to do. First, I needed to find a moving company. After discovering my husband's affair, I promptly moved out. 3 months later, I was busy moving once again. The movers delivered my belongings, but I had to unpack everything myself. The full-service option was too costly. As I opened the first box, the doorbell rang. As expected, there they were, my husband and the two of them. Without a word, I unlocked the door and let them in. They rang the bell again upon reaching my door, so I silently opened it. Immediately they entered. "Hey Sally, long time no see," my husband greeted me. "Wow, this place is really nice," remarked my father-in-law. "Sally, what were you thinking, running away and buying a condo without telling us?" my mother-in-law exclaimed. Yes, I had finally fulfilled my dream of buying a condo. The apartment I shared with my husband was old and worn out, and I had always hoped to move somewhere better. When I found a newly built condo that matched my dreams, I didn't hesitate to make the purchase. So when I informed my husband, he showed up uninvited with my in-laws in tow. It was exactly what I had anticipated. The three of them barged in without hesitation, but I quickly stood in front of them to block their path. "Stop right there. Only residents are allowed beyond this point." "What? Sally, what's gotten into you?" "That's harsh. They're my parents." My husband looked shocked. "Sorry, Tatum, but your parents are strangers to me." "Sally, how can you say that? Isn't family more important than anything?" "Other things matter more than that." "What a bad wife. Tatum, you should leave her." "Relax, Mom. But yeah, divorce might be an option. I'll ask for this condo as part of it. It's kind of small though, isn't it?" Ignoring me, my husband and his family looked around the inside of the condo near the entrance. "It would have been better if you got a 2-family house, Sally. You really don't think about others." "Exactly. She's completely thoughtless, don't you think?" "Yeah, I wanted my own room too, but that's tough with this place, isn't it?" They kept talking, not noticing my disapproving look. "Well, if we divorce, we can figure something out, right?" Just as my mother-in-law reached for the doorknob leading to the living room, I gently pushed her hand away. It didn't hurt, but she looked at me shocked. "Sally, how could you push my hand away like that? What's gotten into you?" "I'm just asking you to respect our privacy and not enter without permission. You're still strangers to me," I calmly explained, unafraid of her anger. My mother-in-law stared at me, wide-eyed. "That's it. I've had enough." "Fine, if that's how you feel, then we'll really become strangers. Tatum, divorce her immediately." My husband smirked oddly at his mother's sudden outburst, but I quickly spoke before he could respond. "Don't worry, there's no need for that," I assured them. My husband looked bewildered. "I don't know what you're misunderstanding, but I'm already single." "What? How could you do that without telling me?" my husband exclaimed in surprise. My mother-in-law joined in. "Did you really do that? You can't just do whatever you want." "Yeah, that's right. Filing for divorce without my consent is invalid. I'll take this to mediation," my father-in-law added, supporting my mother-in-law, but I had expected this. "Oh, but Tatum was the one who prepared the divorce papers." "Huh? What are you talking about? I have no idea." "Oh, so you didn't prepare it? Remember when we first got married, you said, if there's something you don't like, feel free to bring it up without hesitation." "Oh, yeah, now that you mention it." "And that's when you finally remembered, right?" my husband yelled, looking distressed. "I never thought I'd actually need it, but I'm glad I kept it since there was something I didn't like." "Why did you handle it yourself? Who does that seriously? It's not valid. Mediation, no divorce." "Well, fine. Let's settle this thoroughly before we talk about divorce, okay?" It seemed like everything had been anticipated. I pulled out documents and photos from a large envelope I had placed by the entrance. Inside were photos of my husband with his mistress and evidence of his affair. "What's this? Evidence of your affair?" my husband stammered. "Diddly well, you were the one who left home, so—" "No, the affair started long before that. I've heard a lot from this woman, your mistress, and I even have these photos." "Huh? Is that true?" After leaving home, I quickly consulted with a lawyer and hired a detective. They discovered that my husband and his mistress were meeting almost daily, making it relatively easy to gather evidence of their affair. With my lawyer beside me, I confronted the mistress. "Tatum told me he's divorcing you and marrying me. I'm so happy he's finally leaving you. That dreamy girl gave me lots of photos of the good times she spent with you." No, that's not true. I expected a fierce battle with the mistress, but surprisingly, the conversation went smoothly due to her naivety. "Tatum will take care of my compensation and handle the paperwork, so make sure it's done." Did you wait? I didn't agree to any of this. Well, I did ask her to wait quietly until the divorce is finalized. No wonder she kept avoiding me whenever I tried to contact her. I understand. The story has taken a new direction, and your explanation won't excuse your actions anymore. You're admitting you reached out to her first. That speaks volumes. Wait, listen. It's not what you think. It's not what it seems. There's no point in arguing. You have the right to contest the divorce papers, but the divorce will happen eventually. I'll also be seeking compensation and a fair division of assets. That's how it stands. Caught off guard by these unexpected developments, my husband collapsed to the floor, or rather my ex-husband now. Considering how useless he's been as a husband, I don't expect much in terms of savings, compensation, or property division. But honestly, I'm not counting on any of that anyway. My main goal is to divorce him and break away from both him and my in-laws. That's all I hope to achieve. I have a job and income, so I'll manage. I still have savings after buying the condo. I'm not worried about my future. If I can just stand up for myself against my husband, that's enough for me. With these thoughts in mind, I looked down at my stunned husband. However, it was my mother-in-law who couldn't hold back. "Wait a minute, Sally. What are you talking about? Your son cheated without our knowledge, didn't he?" "Well, even though our son cheated, it must have been your fault too, right? It's the wife's fault for getting cheated on." "Oh, is that so? Well then, could you please leave now?" This is exactly what I expected. I didn't think we'd have a reasonable conversation anyway. No matter what she says, she's just a stranger now, completely unknown to me. I decisively began to usher her out, but my mother-in-law resisted strongly against my efforts. "Even if you're getting divorced, you need to hand over this condo for the property division." "Why should I do that? We bought this with marital funds, right? Our son has a share too." "They probably don't understand the whole situation," my mother-in-law said with a smug look. "Well, if we had bought this condo with savings from our marriage, then that would be true. But unfortunately for her, that's not the case. I purchased this condo with money I had before we got married, so it's not marital property to divide." "Really?" "Yes, that's right. Both my parents passed away shortly after I started working. That's why I had planned to care for my in-laws after marriage. But facing my mother-in-law's constant attacks and snide remarks every day shattered that resolve completely. Tatum never contributed financially to the household. Looking back now, was he spending it on his affair? Well, it doesn't matter. I've been covering almost all our living expenses, so there are no savings from our marriage. But compensation is different. Even if it's paid in installments, please ensure your son pays it promptly. I can't believe this, Sally-san. Can't you reconsider the divorce? I'll talk sternly to my son about it. Why should I? There's no benefit for me in that. But I promise to stop criticizing from now on. Well, it's too late for that now. But how about this? Let's have steak tonight. We'll treat ourselves to some high-quality meat. Do you have money for that? Well, do you have it? If you lend it to me, I'll go buy it. No way, there's no benefit for me. With a deep sigh, I calmly addressed the three pale-faced individuals. Please leave. Wait a moment, let's talk. Please leave. Just buy the meat and go, I shouted with determination, and in that instant, they all jumped up and hurriedly left. Ah, that's a relief. Afterward, my ex-husband accepted the divorce without further resistance. Mentioning a lump sum compensation payment if he didn't agree seemed to make him realize the seriousness of the situation. His mistress was furious upon learning he wouldn't cover her share of the compensation. Well, my ex-husband felt comfortable because I was covering our living expenses, but his salary wasn't high to begin with. In fact, it was even lower than mine. Someone like him couldn't afford to pay compensation, even to his mistress. Even so, since she signed the documents, I'll make sure to collect the compensation I'm owed firmly and promptly. I was worried my ex-MIL might return, knowing the condo's location, but thankfully that concern was unnecessary. It seems she aged rapidly and lost energy due to the shock. My son, struggling on a pension, came back home in tears because he couldn't afford rent either. Surrounded by two unreliable men, my ex-FIL and ex-husband, and struggling in a tough financial situation, it seems my ex-MIL doesn't have the energy to come to my house. I heard this from my ex-husband, who pleaded with me to wait for the compensation payment. Now that I've started fresh as a single person, I'm enjoying carefree days of independence at home. There's no one making snide remarks, and no one eating my groceries without permission. I'm really enjoying living alone. Maybe I'll try some local specialties next time. Freedom is truly nice, I whispered to myself. Oh, it feels so good. Freedom, I exclaimed. It feels great. Should I open another beer? I married a man who had a daughter. But Marcus and I disagreed about how his daughter should be educated. Our relationship became strained. Even my bond with his daughter suffered. Then something unexpected happened. Both my husband and his daughter started ignoring me. They wouldn't respond to my greetings or talk to me. Even when they did speak, they excluded me. Despite my efforts to mend things, nothing helped. Feeling hopeless, I overheard a hurtful conversation between them. I couldn't bear being ignored like this forever, so I made the tough decision to leave home. Later, something unbelievable happened involving my husband and his daughter. My name is Mary, and I'm 30 years old. I work at an ID company. I've been married to Marcus for 2 years. He's 9 years older than me. We met through a friend and hit it off because of Marcus's kind and caring personality. My daughter Anna is 14 years old. The three of us live together in a condo. Anna isn't my biological daughter, she's Marcus's daughter from his previous marriage. Marcus and his ex-wife divorced when Anna was young because they were both busy with work. After the divorce, Marcus's ex-wife gave up custody of Anna and disappeared. Before Marcus and I got married, he told me about his divorce and that he had a child. I was hesitant to get involved because of this, but I decided to meet Anna anyway. Anna appeared to be a modern girl, dressed in stylish clothes, and was very cute. Nice to meet you. I'm Anna. Thank you for always taking care of Dad. Anna greeted me cheerfully, sensing my nervousness. Nice to meet you too. I'm Mary, I replied. Likewise. I'm grateful to Marcus, Anna continued. Oh my gosh, don't be so nervous. I wanted to chat with you too, Anna, I said, trying to relax. Anna didn't seem to mind Marcus and me dating. In fact, she seemed somewhat happy about it. Being without a mom has always made me feel lonely. I know Dad's been doing his best for me, but Mary seems really nice and we get along well. So I'd be happy if you became my mom, Anna said. When I heard that, I felt a strong desire to be her mother. Eventually, Marcus proposed to me and I accepted. Initially, my parents were unsure about my marrying someone with a child. It's natural for parents to have concerns when their daughter is entering into a family where she's not the biological parent of the child. However, I worked hard to persuade them. I really want to build a family with Marcus and Anna, so I put in a lot of effort, I explained. My sincere feelings must have reached my parents because they eventually gave their approval for the marriage. That's how I ended up marrying Marcus against the odds. In the beginning of our marriage, things went smoothly. Anna even started calling me Mom, and Marcus was kind to me. But over time, things began to change. After dinner, Anna didn't bother to clean her plate and just relaxed on the living room sofa. Meanwhile, Marcus sat next to her, watching TV and drinking alcohol. Anna, please clean up your plate after eating, I reminded her. I've told you this before, haven't I? I thought I was stating a reasonable request, but Anna gave me a displeased look and stared at me seriously. It's such a hassle. Can't you just do it, Mom? No, you need to clean up after yourself. You're in middle school now, so you should start taking responsibility. Don't lecture me about every little thing. You're so annoying. Just because I asked Anna to do the dishes, she started showing a rebellious attitude towards me. I got annoyed and ended up scolding her sternly. What's with that attitude? I argued with Anna, but Marcus took her side. Hey, don't say mean things just because Anna is your stepdaughter. You should clean up after dinner yourself, Marcus said. I'm not scolding her because she's my stepdaughter. I'm saying it for her own good. Anna and Marcus left all the household chores to me. They didn't volunteer to help, and though they'd pitch in if asked, they complained about it. Even though I said we're a family and should work together, Marcus said, housework is women's work. You're being unfair to me even though I work too, Anna retorted. When I'm busy and chores get neglected, they always complain that I'm slacking off. On top of everything, Marcus and I disagreed about Anna's education. Anna, who is 14 years old and in 8th grade, is getting ready for high school entrance exams, but she spends a lot of time idle instead of studying. Anna always says, I don't need to study hard. I can get good grades without studying much. It's true that Anna is naturally smart, so she manages to do decently in school even with minimal studying. But without studying, passing exams, especially for the private high school she wants to attend, will be difficult. It's crucial for her future success that she develops good study habits. That's why I've been encouraging Anna to study more. But Anna just finds me annoying and tells me to shut up. She rebels against my advice. When I tried talking to Marcus about it, he didn't seem to listen. Anna will be fine. She's smart and reliable. Nagging her like that will only demotivate her, Marcus said. Don't say things like that. High school will be much tougher for her. If she's going to a private school, it's even more important for her to understand the importance of studying. Shut up. You're not her real mother, so don't act all high and mighty. Have you become more unpleasant since before we got married? We've argued a lot about Anna's education, and it's strained our relationship. Lately, Marcus has been spending more time away from home. He says it's because of work, but I wonder if he's avoiding me. My relationship with Anna has also gotten very tense. Her rebellious attitude makes me feel sad. I think about divorce sometimes, but I can't decide. I convinced my parents to support our marriage, so I worry they'll be disappointed if we divorce after just 2 years. Amidst these worries, something strange happened one morning. When I greeted Anna, something weird happened. Anna, good morning. Breakfast is ready, so go ahead and eat. Anna didn't respond and just went to the kitchen. I was puzzled by her behavior. Did she not hear me? I wondered, but it seemed different. No matter how much I tried to talk to her after that, Anna ignored me. Even when I said, "Have a good day," as she left for school, or "Welcome back," when she came home, she acted as if I didn't exist at all. Confused and worried, I turned to Marcus as soon as he came home from work. "Hey Marcus, I need to talk to you about something concerning Anna." But to my surprise, Marcus didn't respond to me either. Marcus? Wait, why aren't you answering me? I tried desperately to talk to him even through dinner, but both Marcus and Anna stayed silent, retreating to their rooms without saying a word. From that point on, they completely ignored me. No matter how hard I tried to engage with them, they wouldn't acknowledge me. Even when I tried to join their conversations, they acted as though I wasn't there. I took on all the household chores and tried to get their attention by making their favorite meals, but nothing seemed to work. Doing everything alone while also working slowly wore me down. On weekends, Marcus and Anna started going out to eat together more often, leaving me behind. Despite us being a family, I felt completely excluded, and it hurt me deeply. How did things come to this? There had been tension lately, but being treated like this was unbearable. I couldn't understand why they had suddenly started ignoring me. Every attempt I made to talk to them was met with silence, and it felt like my heart was breaking. Then one day, a phone call left me astonished. When I came home from work, Marcus and Anna were chatting. Anna said something that shocked me. "Mom is so naive, lol," making a disrespectful comment about me. She proudly said, "We ignored her on purpose, and it worked. Dad and I just acted like she wasn't there, and she ended up doing all the chores without a fuss. We should have ignored her sooner." Dad agreed, plus she's earning our living and keeping the house in order. She used to be cheeky, but lately she's been quieter and more helpful. It's really working out well, lol. I'm starting high school soon and need money, so Mom will have to work harder. LOL. Life is so comfortable now that we're just ignoring her. LOL. Laughing loudly, my husband and daughter were having this conversation, joking about how she was originally hired as a housekeeper. When I overheard them, I lost my patience completely. I'll never forgive them. They'll both pay for this. The next morning, after getting ready, I greeted Marcus and Anna, but as usual, they ignored me. Anna even clicked her tongue. After they left, I packed my things and left the house. When I unexpectedly returned later that day, my family was surprised. But when they heard what had happened, they were supportive. "You can stay as long as you need," they assured me. My parents sympathized, saying, "It must have been so tough." Their concern made me want to cry. Despite urging my parents to accept Marcus in the first place, I expected blame, but they cared more about me than anything else. A few days later, Marcus called me in a panic while I was relaxing at my parents' house. When I answered, annoyed, he immediately started shouting. "Where the hell are you? How dare you, as a mother, gallivant around like this? Aren't you ashamed? Get back home right now." I couldn't believe he was yelling at me like this, especially after not hearing from him for so long. Fed up, I told him firmly, "No, Marcus, I'm not coming back. I'm divorcing you. I can't deal with you anymore." "What? What nonsense are you talking? Stop acting like a child just because I ignored you for a while. We're not getting divorced," he insisted, probably because he didn't want to lose the help around the house. But then I dropped a bombshell. "No, we are getting divorced because you're cheating, aren't you?" That call I received earlier wasn't from his work, it was from his mistress's husband. Marcus hadn't been working late, he'd been meeting his lover. When he and Anna went on vacation, he was out to dinner with someone else. During their conversation, I overheard something unsettling. "Dad's lover, she's beautiful and pretty. I wish she was my mom so I could brag about it to everyone at school." "I agree with you, but she's married. Besides, I can't have her doing housework. Her hands are too beautiful. Housekeeping is for someone simple like Mary." Marcus never imagined I knew about his affair. I hit him with another bombshell. I'm filing for divorce and demanding alimony. I've also sold our apartment. You need to leave. The apartment where we lived was bought by my father before we married and was in my name. So I hired movers and secretly moved all my belongings to a new place. After we left, I sold the old apartment and bought a new one for myself, with my father's support. I also sent Marcus and Anna's things to his parents' house with a letter explaining everything. They had nowhere else to go now that Marcus's brother's family lives with their parents and he's estranged from his father. On top of it all, he was cheating, which will likely lead to him being disowned by his family. Marcus, feeling trapped, desperately begged for forgiveness over the phone. I'm sorry. I got carried away. I love you, Mary. Please forgive me. He apologized sincerely, but forgiveness wasn't something I could give him. I tried so hard to build a real family with them. I scolded Anna because I was worried about her future. I argued with Marcus because I wanted us to think about our daughter Anna together as a couple. But Marcus and Anna ignored me and hurt me over trivial reasons, like wanting an easy life or having things their way. I can't live with people like that anymore. You and Anna don't want a family, you just want a maid to boss around whenever it suits you, right? I've tried to make a family with you, but it's been a painful experience. I can't stay with people like you forever. I'm not thinking like that. I'm truly sorry. Anna wants to apologize to her mom too. She's not a mean-spirited girl who mocks others. Didn't Anna say she wished she had a beautiful mom? Maybe she'd be happier with someone else besides me. Just stay away from me. With that, I hung up on Marcus. A few days later, the divorce with Marcus was finalized through a lawyer. I demanded compensation from both him and his lover. Apparently, the lover's husband also demanded compensation from them. Marcus used up his savings, but it wasn't enough, so he had to take out a loan to pay both of our compensations. Marcus and Anna got kicked out of their apartment and now live in a cheap old one. Anna borrowed money from her parents to pay the damages and is now working at a relative's factory. Just when Mary thought it was all over, Marcus unexpectedly asked for reconciliation. Hey, Mary, please give us another chance. Why are you saying this now? We're already divorced. We're strangers. Don't contact me. Don't say that. Anna is in trouble right now. Marcus explained that because of his debts, they couldn't afford Anna's tuition at the prestigious Pratt high school she dreamed of attending. Anna reluctantly enrolled in a public high school where she ended up being disliked and isolated by her classmates due to her difficult personality. Anna, feeling rejected by her classmates, has become withdrawn and spends her days taking out her frustrations on Marcus. On top of that, no one is doing the housework, and the apartment is getting dirtier and smelling bad. They might even get evicted soon. Marcus tearfully told his story, but I realized it was all his fault. I won't get back together with you. Don't contact me again. I firmly refused to reconcile and blocked Marcus's number. Now I'm living peacefully at my parents' house and focusing on my work. After everything that happened with my family, I'm not thinking about marriage for a while. Right now, I just want to become better at judging men. My name is Mia. I'm 24 years old and work full-time. I've been dating a guy at work who's a year older than me for 3 years now, and we've decided to get married. In public, my mom behaved very differently. It happened when my boyfriend was around. I was prepared for her to say something mean to him, but she surprised me by being kind. The reason behind her behavior was that my boyfriend's dad held a high position in a big company, and my boyfriend was going to join that company after gaining more experience at his current job. My mom was thinking about the future and wanted to improve her image now so she could get help later on. Because my boyfriend believed my mom's act completely, I couldn't talk to him about what my mom was really like. My sister has always treated me like I'm beneath her. She would make fun of me, pointing out how differently our parents treated us. I have an older sister who's 3 years older than me. She's already married and lives away from our family home. I still live with our parents. My mom especially favors my sister a lot, which has always been clear to me. Even though my dad also seems to prefer my sister, he does care about me too, which is reassuring. I've been eager to move out of my parents' house and live with my boyfriend, but my mom won't let me for some reason. Even though my sister moved out to live with her husband before they got married, I can't understand why I'm not allowed to do the same. I think part of it is because my mom wants me around to help out at home, but part of it feels like she's being unfair. In public, my mom behaved very differently. It happened when my boyfriend was around. I was prepared for her to say something mean to him, but she surprised me by being kind. The reason behind her behavior was that my boyfriend's dad held a high position in a big company, and my boyfriend was going to join that company after gaining more experience at his current job. My mom was thinking about the future and wanted to improve her image now so she could get help later on. Because my boyfriend believed my mom's act completely, I couldn't talk to him about what my mom was really like. My sister has always treated me like I'm beneath her. She would make fun of me, pointing out how differently our parents treated us. I was fed up with my older sister who always acted like she was better than me, even though she's just 4 years older. She married a guy who's 2 years older than her and works for a well-known company, earning a good salary. She never let me forget it. But once she found out my boyfriend would soon work for his dad, an executive at a big company, she stopped bragging about her husband. My sister used to visit our parents almost every weekday. I'm not sure what she did with our stay-at-home mom, but when I got home from work, she'd look at me with pity and wouldn't offer any comfort. I work too, so I managed to save a bit of money each month for my future. It's not much, but it adds up. My sister, on the other hand, doesn't need to work because her husband earns enough. She's proud of their lifestyle, even though she didn't earn that money herself. "Have you saved any money for your future?" she asked me once. "Well, sort of. I have some in a bank account," I replied. "I withdrew it once for wedding expenses and it's safe for now. We're also saving for the wedding, so I'm doing some calculations." "I see," my mom remarked. "There was money in the safe." "Yes, temporarily," I said. I wondered why she was asking, but it turned out to cause a big argument later on. The expenses for our wedding were supposed to be shared by both families, but since his parents were more enthusiastic about the ceremony, they agreed to cover a larger portion. We decided to handle the down payment ourselves. When my sister got married, her in-laws also contributed significantly, which was a relief for our modest family. About a month later, as usual, my sister stormed into our family home. However, what caught my attention this time was her car. The car was parked proudly, almost flaunting itself. It was a popular model. I assumed she had bought it with her husband's money, but this time it was different. "Mia, have you seen my car?" "Huh? Your car?" I hadn't noticed." "That's good. Mom bought it for me." I was quite surprised. I couldn't help but wonder where the money came from. It wasn't a luxury car, but it was a new model worth nearly $30,000. I was astonished by how much my family favored my sister, even buying her a car. It was shocking. "You must be happy about this, right? Don't forget to thank Mia." "What? Why should she thank me?" I was completely baffled by what Mom was saying, but they both gave me a sly smile. "That's right. We used your money to buy it." "Huh? Thanks a lot, Mia." I didn't understand what they were talking about, and I felt confused. "The $30,000 in the safe, we used it to buy your sister's car. That was supposed to be your wedding fund, but it's okay, right? We're family," Mom said, giving me a mean grin. "But that wasn't my money. It wasn't even for my wedding." "Huh?" Mom's expression turned serious instantly. Thinking back on it now, it almost makes me laugh. My sister beside me was also surprised. I had already managed my money and returned it to my bank account. I hadn't even saved up to $30,000. But for some reason Mom was looking at me skeptically. Dad mentioned he hadn't withdrawn the wedding expenses yet. So isn't that different money in the safe? As we looked at each other, Mom and my sister seemed to be trying to piece together what they knew about whose money it was. "I can't confirm whose it is," I said, but Mom thought I was bluffing and smirked at my uncertainty. I had seen an envelope marked $30,000 when I borrowed the safe from Dad before, so it's definitely not my money. "Anyway," they said, "we're grateful to you, Mia. Take good care of the car. It's wrong to lay hands on someone else's money without permission." They both misunderstood things and just let the conversation drop, but Mom will regret this big mistake she made. My sister drove home in her new car and Mom went out shopping. I was left alone in the living room, feeling more and more eager to leave this house as soon as possible. Looking back, neither my mother nor my sister ever congratulated me on my upcoming marriage. Mom made a big deal out of my sister's wedding, celebrating joyfully when she heard the news. Meanwhile, both my sister and Mom practically pressured me into giving a $1,000 gift. Mom was thrilled and closely followed the details of my sister's wedding, eagerly looking at photos of the venue. However, when it came to my wedding, which was planned to be much more modest and affordable compared to my sister's lavish affair, she clearly showed her disappointment and gave me a cold response. Regardless, even before my sister got married, I had to endure constant bragging about her husband's income, looks, and personality. Information I never asked for kept coming my way. She would say things like, "Honestly, I doubt you'll ever find someone as amazing as my guy." It's the kind of thing a sister should never say to her younger sibling. I focused on my work, hoping to one day look back on my tough life at my parents' house and how I met my current boyfriend. He's a high achiever at our workplace, where we both work. As I mentioned earlier, he's soon moving to a major corporation where his father is an executive. Our current job is subcontracted by his father's company, so we earn a decent income. Initially, the company was discussing how much my boyfriend would transfer to his father's company after gaining experience at our current workplace. Supporting my boyfriend's growth and ensuring a smooth transition would benefit our business relationship with clients. When my sister first found out that my boyfriend worked at the same company as me, she made a rude comment, saying, "He's just like you." However, after I explained his future prospects, she went quiet. It might be because the company he's moving to is even bigger than my brother-in-law's company. My sister's patronizing attitude hasn't changed since we were kids. Our parents always favored her, buying her any toy she wanted without question. My dad, feeling sorry for me, would spend time playing with me. But my sister, who's good at pleasing others, sometimes manipulated him to keep us apart. I really dislike my sister. She's outgoing and talks energetically, whereas I'm not exactly introverted, but I'm quiet and often felt pressured to cater to my sister's preferences. From my mom's perspective, I always seem dissatisfied. While that perception isn't entirely wrong, I believe my mother misunderstands my true character. A week after my sister flaunted her new car, she came home as usual, and both she and my mother were relaxing in the living room while I stayed in my room. Suddenly, the door to my father's room next to mine swung open, and I heard him hurrying down the stairs. I could hear my father raising his voice, so I went downstairs to see what was happening. He was questioning my mother and sister alternately. It was there. I'm sure it wasn't there. No, really? In what form? In an envelope? Hey Mia, have you been in the safe lately? I only took out some money when you asked me to. My sister was clearly flustered and kept glancing outside, towards her new car. Mia, do you know anything about this? My mother looked at me with a shocked expression. Her face seemed to say, "Don't say a word, Mom and Sis already know more about this." Wait, hold on, what are you implying? I have nothing to do with this. What are you talking about? Despite them revealing the source and use of the money to me, I was shocked by their audacity to pretend they didn't know. And that car, I pointed at my sister's new car. Tell me Mom didn't buy that for you as a gift, right? My mother's face went pale, and my sister looked like she wanted to disappear. It was the first time I'd seen such expressions on their faces. That envelope is Mia's money, isn't it? I asked. But Mia just said she took it out of the safe. So whose money is it, if not Mia's? She's been saving it. I haven't withdrawn it yet. What's going on? Even if it's Mia's, you used it without permission. My mom kept stealing glances at my sister, who avoided eye contact. This is typical of my sister's behavior. Mom must be shocked because that money was supposed to be for renovating the house to make it accessible for our parents. I knew Mom had been urging Dad to let her mother live with us. She wanted to care for our grandmother, who had become frail after losing our grandfather a few years ago. While Dad's parents were well supported by nearby siblings, Mom had no siblings and her mother lived alone, so she hoped her mother could move in with us. We were even planning to make our home accessible to accommodate her. My parents believed that preparing the house now would be beneficial as they grew older. The $30,000 was specifically set aside for this purpose. My mother had mistaken it for my savings. Now what are we going to do? You knew we needed that money to make the house accessible, right? We've already signed the contract and construction starts next month. What's the plan now? Dad's angry questions overwhelmed Mom, leaving her tearful. My sister remained indifferent as usual. We'll have to cancel the renovations, Mom whispered sadly. No, absolutely not. Then Grandma can't move in. You need to talk to your parents. Can't we find another solution? Dad slammed his hand on the table, raising his voice. This is no joke. You need to figure this out. The only option left is to sell the car. Wait a minute, selling the car isn't an option. Can't we find another way, maybe borrow from another source? Please, help us. I can't face my husband with this, pleaded Mom, now at odds with my sister after being so united in pressuring me earlier. Dad watched them with disbelief. Mom, realizing the gravity of her irreversible actions, was in dire straits, her plans to care for her parents now shattered. My sister attempted to play innocent with Dad, but he wasn't buying it this time. It was clear the new car parked outside was bought with the money from our safe, and Dad was growing tired of her attempts to avoid responsibility. But you agreed to Grandma moving in. You promised to take care of Mom. Why the sudden change? Dad's frustration grew. Your parents are fine, with siblings nearby. My mom is alone, with no one close by. It was true, Mom's family lived out of state, far away, but now she was reacting out of desperation. Dad became even angrier, and a heated argument erupted, fueled by the financial betrayal. Blame was unfairly falling on Dad. Seeing my sister try to slip away, I quietly moved the car keys to Dad's side, preventing her escape. If you're insisting on Grandma moving in, then take responsibility for it. What you did is no different from theft, I asserted firmly. Mom looked down, appearing resigned. Dad clarified that the money Mom used for the car was from the safe, and my sister was equally responsible. This angered my sister. Dad, you've always been too forgiving of her, I said, my expression stern. Don't you think it's unfair? Even Mom misunderstood. It's clear Dad is troubled by my sister, who never seems to learn. She's stubbornly defensive, especially when it comes to me. Just because it's my money doesn't give you the right to use it. I'm not the villain here. And what's with Mia marrying a man with a bright future? He's just benefiting from our parents' connections. I've always endured how my sister treated me, but this time, I couldn't take it anymore. Isn't it strange how your husband's family spoils him like that? I don't need lectures from someone as spoiled and naive as you. Even Mom, Dad, and my sister were taken aback by my outburst of anger. Who are you calling naive and disgusting? I'm talking to you, the one who doesn't appreciate Mom, who bought you a car, and only cares about herself. My frustration peaked, causing my sister to step back. By the way, my boyfriend's father is the executive at your husband's main client. I proposed a solution to Dad. At first he was surprised, but since it came from me, he, considering me the victim, accepted it. A week later, Mom announced she was giving up on the idea of living together. But Dad intervened. You have $10,000 in your account, right? Take it all out. With that, Dad retrieved the blueprint and cost estimate for the construction. The initial estimate was $30,000, but by opting for less expensive plumbing fixtures, it could be reduced to $25,000. Mom listened quietly to Dad's explanation, nodding in agreement. I can manage $10,000, which leaves enough for Maya's wedding, but I can't cover more than that. We're still $5,000 short, Mom admitted, sounding resigned as she looked down. The remaining $5,000 will have to come from Mia, Dad stated firmly. What? Grandma's situation shouldn't be blamed, and Mom would be in trouble, right? This money is my safety net, saved up in case of emergencies. Mom covered her face with both hands, tears streaming down as she nodded. Go ahead with it, Dad, I said. Are you sure about this? Dad asked, seeking confirmation. I nodded in agreement. Mom continued to bow her head, expressing her gratitude. I've been cold to Mia all this time, causing her discomfort. I thought it was justified to use her money because it was hers, despite my behavior, and yet, she sobbed, taking my hand. I'm really sorry. Thank you so much. In return, make sure you celebrate my wedding properly, as any mother should. After making some adjustments to the construction plan, the work began on schedule. The renovations went smoothly, and it was decided that my grandmother would soon move in with us. As for my sister, she didn't visit our parents' house for a while, but apparently she did apologize to them. While she didn't apologize directly to me, it seems she acknowledged her mistakes. Mom completely changed her attitude towards me, interacting in a much kinder manner. Perhaps it's because of the money and her feelings of remorse. As planned, my wedding went ahead smoothly. Both Mom and Dad appeared genuinely happy. Meanwhile, my sister's husband was busy ingratiating himself with my fiance's father, bowing respectfully and serving him drinks. It was quite a sight to see my sister's surprised expression when she realized my earlier concerns were true. With that, our family's major issue was resolved, and it seemed to bring closure to the challenges in my life as well. Interestingly, during the wedding, when a picture of my sister lovingly doting on me as a baby was projected, it seemed my sister quietly shed a few tears. Ding dong, clatter, clatter, bang, bang, bang. Are you kidding me? Let me in right now. Do you want everyone to see me causing a scene here? Is this how you treat your husband who's been working on Christmas and comes home to this mess? My husband was furious, pounding on the gate of my family's home. Christmas is usually a special time for us, just before the big day. I accidentally found an envelope recently that revealed my husband's betrayals. As a wife and mother, I've been living through miserable and hopeless days since then. He had been working late, he said, but really he was spending our money on his girlfriend. He barely even bought presents for our kids. I couldn't stand it anymore. I opened the door and confronted him in front of my family. And then, what's going on? I'm just an ordinary housewife, living with my husband and 2 children. Depending on your values, some people might spend Christmas Eve with a boyfriend or girlfriend and Christmas Day with their family. And that's how it was for me. I have a brother and a sister, and since we were young, if any of us were dating someone, we'd spend Christmas Eve with them. Our family does things a bit differently from others. We don't always celebrate Christmas on the 25th because of our jobs. Both our parents and us have work that keeps us busy even on holidays. So instead, we made our own tradition, celebrating Christmas when we all had time off during the winter break. We'd cook together, enjoy cake, and watch special year-end TV shows. As we grew up and became independent, my brother, sister, and I kept up this tradition in our own ways. A few years ago, I got married and had children of my own. At first, celebrating Christmas Eve with my husband and our child was a joyful time. But over time, our relationship changed from being romantic partners to focusing more on our family as a whole. Christmas Eve started to feel more like a routine than a special occasion. Eventually, we both agreed that our children's happiness was what mattered most at Christmas. Any discussion about what to do on Christmas Eve slowly faded away, so when my husband said, "Sorry, I might be stuck at work overnight on the 24th. The kids celebrate Christmas on the 25th, right? I'll try to be back by then," it felt like a natural progression of how our Christmas traditions had evolved. I wasn't particularly emotional when I realized my husband wouldn't be home for Christmas Eve. It was just another sign of how our relationship had changed over time. Despite this, I still love him deeply and I'm content with our life together. So I focused on preparing for our kids' Christmas alone, considering it another form of happiness. Hey, is this all the money we have for living expenses this month? Did something unusual happen with your paycheck? I hate to sound critical, but expenses always pile up at year-end. I was hoping we could stretch our budget a bit more with Christmas coming up in about a month. I was shocked to see that the money my husband gave for living expenses was significantly less than usual. I quickly pleaded with him. If I could have managed it, I would have done so already. Things are tight on my end too. There are work-related parties and expenses that I have to cover upfront for the new year. Do you think I enjoy cutting back like this? Managing our budget with limited resources is also a crucial part of being a housewife, isn't it? My husband seemed visibly frustrated and avoided looking at me or talking further. You're right, sorry. I'll do my best too, but it's almost Christmas, right? The kids are eagerly waiting for their special presents. Please, for their sake, let's make this time of year special. I don't want us to not afford their gifts. In our family, there's a rule. Normally, if the kids want something, they have to explain why they need it. But for birthdays and Christmas, they can ask for anything without conditions. That's why I wanted to ensure we have enough money for them, thinking about how much they love Christmas. Honey, let's be a bit more careful with our spending. Kids, what do you want for Christmas? My husband sighed loudly and called the kids over. I want a cartoon DVD set, but I also want a picture book about trains, Dad. Which one do you think is better? Well, the book, definitely. It will help you learn to read, and you can share it with your friends at their houses. You could even read it to younger friends. You'd be such a cool big boy. I really want a new doll set so I can feed it and sleep with it, but my crayons broke recently and now I can't draw. I wonder which wish Santa will grant. I think crayons would be great, Lena. You're so talented at drawing, and I love seeing your artwork. Ask Santa for some really nice ones, even better than the ones you had before. But what about the dolls? Can't you listen to what I want? Santa only visits good children. Naughty kids who are selfish get nothing. I'll ask for crayons. While pretending to listen to the kids, my husband clearly pushed them towards the cheaper options. Aaron's gift can be from a used bookstore, and Lena's gift can be from the dollar store. This way, we won't have to spend extra money on Christmas. Do you think spending money is the only solution? How foolish, he sneered, making sure only I could hear him. Extra expenses? That's not saving money. My husband called our children's eagerly anticipated presents extra expenses, manipulating their innocent minds to suit his agenda. I began to deeply resent such behavior from my husband. Then, after a while, Mom, look, a sparkly letter. It was in Dad's work bag. Could it be from Santa? While my husband was in the bath, my daughter had apparently opened his work bag and excitedly showed me the beautifully decorated envelope she found. You shouldn't have taken that without asking. Give it here and I'll put it back, okay? What could it be? I took the envelope from my daughter. Since it hadn't been opened, curiosity got the better of me and I peeked inside. A reservation for a Christmas dinner for 2 at a hotel on the 24th. But he was supposed to be working overnight on the 24th. Several questions raced through my mind. Just then, my husband's phone made a notification sound. Startled, I glanced over at his phone. It seemed to be getting a flurry of messages in a short span of time. Normally, I wouldn't pay much attention to his phone or how often it rang, but with a sense of unease, I reached for it. What's going on? My eyes fixed on the screen. All the messages flooding my husband's phone were from someone named Nancy. Judging by the selfie that appeared to be her profile picture, she was much younger than me. Although I couldn't see the content of the messages, the heart emojis made it clear they were not just from a casual acquaintance. It seemed too coincidental. A small dark suspicion about my husband began to grow within me. Once I started doubting him, it was hard to let go of those feelings. For the next few days, I found myself sneaking peeks at my husband's phone. Those days were enough to turn my suspicions into conviction. Nancy was likely my husband's mistress, and he planned to spend the Christmas dinner with her on the 24th. He even hinted at an extra special gift for her, their excitement for each other uncontainable. To get more concrete information, I hired a private investigator. Catching my overly confident husband in the act seemed easy, and the results came back quickly. According to the investigation, Nancy was a temp at my husband's company. They had started their affair a month ago, and all the nights he told me he was working late were actually spent with Nancy. The recent drastic cut in our living expenses was likely to fund his affair with her. Clutching the investigator's report, tears of frustration overflowed. In just 1 month, my husband had come to prioritize another woman over his family. My efforts in taking care of the house, believing he was busy with work, and our children's kindness in holding back their desire to play with their father, all felt unbearably pathetic. The shock of my husband's betrayal was too significant to ignore. I didn't know what to do at first, but I have a plan of my own. I won't let this slide without a fight. Wiping away my tears, I stood up energetically and began to prepare my own special gift for my husband. On the morning of December 24th, I sent off my husband as usual, then I headed to my parents' house with the kids. "Welcome, it's been so long since we've all been together like this. It feels just like when you, your brother, and your sister used to live here," my mom said. "Spending quality time with Dad is great, but this year felt especially exciting." At my parents' house, they were delighted by the festive Christmas atmosphere, enjoying decorating a large Christmas tree they had pulled out of storage. With the kids, we spent the entire day having a fun Christmas party. The next morning, the kids were ecstatic about the presents placed at the base of the Christmas tree they had decorated. For my son, I got a DVD and a picture book, and for my daughter, a doll and crayons. We told them these gifts were from Santa and also from Grandpa and Grandma. The kids played happily with their new toys while the adults watched them with smiles. Suddenly, my phone buzzed. I looked at my phone and saw I had a call. I stepped outside to answer it. It was my husband, sounding very upset. "Hey, where are you? I just got home from work, but my key doesn't fit the lock and the doorbell isn't working. What's going on?" I could hear him messing with the door handle through the phone. "Calm down, you're making a lot of noise. No one is there because we don't live there anymore. We finished moving out yesterday. You were too busy with work to notice, I guess. By the way, you've been shaking that doorknob for a while. Isn't that kind of like trying to break in? If you break the door, it's not my problem." I laughed at him. Even though he was still confused, he realized I had tricked him and started yelling angrily. "Don't mess with me, doing all this without telling me. Where did you put my stuff? Bring it back now. All your things were taken by your parents yesterday. They kept apologizing to me, saying how sorry they were for what you did. Make sure to apologize to them when you get back." "What? Huh?" After finding out about my husband's affair, I told both our families everything. I explained how he was obsessed with a younger woman named Nancy, spending our money on her instead of on our family. He even cut down on our living expenses and the kids' Christmas gifts. He lied about working overnight just to be with her, and I decided to ask for a divorce. After I told everyone through tears, my parents, his parents, our siblings, and even the kids supported my decision. So we moved out of the house on Christmas Eve while my mother took care of the children. Our siblings also helped with the move. With everyone's help, we emptied the house quickly, which brings us to now. So everyone knows what you've done, and no one in the family is on your side. You caused this mess, and now you have to deal with it. I explained everything to my husband clearly. By the time I finished explaining everything, my husband was furious and started shouting at me. "You worthless woman! Your disrespectful attitude towards me, your husband, is the real problem here. I am the precious only son, you know. Blaming others while you're no saint yourself, acting all high and mighty. My parents siding with you. Ha, you must have played the victim and cried to them. Who do you think my parents will ultimately believe, their precious son or some outsider woman? You're as foolish as ever, Hava. I'll be demanding alimony from you right away." "Oh really? Then go ahead and talk to them now. Here, be my guest." Saying that, I turned on the speakerphone on my cell. "Then I never thought you were such a rotten person. Are those the words of someone who has committed adultery? You are the worst. You're the shame of our family." Where did it all go wrong? May and Lars, who had been by my side during the call, unleashed their anger at my husband over the phone. "Dad, Mom, why are you with her?" My husband began to tremble, utterly taken aback by the unexpected rebuke from his parents. "Why? Because it's Christmas. Maitline, who is back at her parents' house, invited us to spend the day with her. Even though we are the parents of the man who betrayed his family. Do you understand how Maitline felt all this time? While you were betraying her, she was working hard to take care of the children on her own. We've never been so ashamed and embarrassed of you. We won't defend you unconditionally. You're an adult and made your choices. Do what you want, but don't involve us again. We refuse to be used by you." May and Lars scolded him, their voices trembling with anger. Their words made me so happy I couldn't hold back my tears. "What? You're at Maitlane's parents' house. Anyway, I'm coming over, so listen to my side of the story. It's unfair to only hear one side at times like these, right? You'll see who the real victim is, right, Dad?" Regardless of our situation, my husband tried to win his parents over, but it was pointless. Without listening to his claims, my father-in-law hung up and turned off the phone after saying a few words to me. Then he turned off all our phones, including Maitlane's, and said, "Let's go back inside. The kids are waiting for their mom." My father-in-law said this with a gentle smile, and my mother-in-law gently patted my back. We all went back inside together. We then had the most enjoyable Christmas party ever, with delicious food, cake, and the children singing and dancing. As the night went on and the children fell asleep, the adults were relaxing when the doorbell started ringing non-stop. Tension filled the room. Everyone knew who would show up uninvited at this hour. Yes, it's me. Open the door. Are you going to leave me out in the cold on a winter night? My husband not only kept pressing the doorbell but also started rattling the doorknob as if he might break it. Panic set in, and I was about to go to the door when my parents stopped me. I looked at everyone, nodded, and decided to speak to my husband through the door. Did you forget? Christmas Eve is for lovers and Christmas is for family, right? We're all having a lovely Christmas together as a family. Did you have a nice Christmas Eve with Nancy? Now that we're strangers, I don't care what happens to you today. If you don't want to sleep outside in the cold, just leave. Don't provoke me. Should I call the police? Spread rumors in the neighborhood that a cruel wife kicked out her husband for no reason. Open this door right now. No matter what I said, my husband refused to listen and continued causing a scene outside. I started feeling afraid at his persistence. Trembling, my father-in-law smoothly stood up. He exchanged glances with my mother-in-law, who also rose to follow him. My parents and I hurried to the front door with them. When my father opened the door, expecting me to give in, my husband stood there defiantly. "Long time no see, Dad," my husband said smugly. "It's not good to see you. Stop pretending we're friends. You're no longer a son to us, just someone who hurt our family," my father interrupted coldly. My mother joined in, causing a scene at this hour. "Do you even know what time it is? It's incredibly rude. The kids have been asleep for hours. You're not fit to be their father." She glared at him sternly. My husband was shocked to see my usually gentle mother so stern. "I won't let my grandchildren see this anymore. Leave. You're a nuisance. You're no longer part of this family." My father-in-law spoke calmly but with anger, making it clear my husband had to leave. My husband glared at us, looking like he might explode. "I'm calling the police right now," my mother-in-law said firmly. Seeing her pick up the phone, my husband panicked and fled without saying a word of apology. It was another stark reminder of who he truly was. I didn't cry anymore, but I felt an emptiness inside, questioning the purpose of everything I had been through until then. "How about some warm tea, and then you can get some rest?" My mother gently touched my shoulder with a kind smile. Everyone welcomed me back with warmth and understanding. I went to my room, grateful for the unwavering support of my family. Meanwhile, my husband, now without a home, went to his parents' house. They had changed the locks after hearing my side of the story, so he couldn't get in. They turned him away when they returned, unwilling to let a stranger into their home. Left out in the cold, my husband finally realized the gravity of his actions and his parents' words. Now he sincerely regrets his actions and has agreed to the divorce and alimony. I had a lawyer ready just in case, but thankfully it didn't turn into a messy legal battle. After the divorce was finalized, I started a new life at my parents' house with my children. I'm focused on my work and raising my kids with the loving support of my parents. It's busy, but every day feels meaningful. Although I won't see my ex-husband again, I stay in touch with my in-laws. They're wonderful grandparents to my children and a great support to me. Even though we're no longer family on paper, I hope they'll always be part of our lives and continue to watch over the children as they grow. Do you both have everything? Let's go. Don't forget to say goodbye to Grandma and Grandpa. Bye. I silently prayed for these ordinary, peaceful days to last forever and looked forward to celebrating next Christmas together as a family, seeing my children's happy smiles.